Hey plant people, welcome. What is up? Hope everybody is doing super well and is having a wonderful, cozy fall and spooky season. We have got a doubly exciting video today because not only are we doing an entire plant collection tour, finally, since it's been over a year. I've seen several of my favorite creators doing this recently, and it has given me the motivation that I needed to finally get this sucker started. We are also going to be disclosing all of the information for our official website launch right now. Well, in a minute, once I explain how this video is going to go. So this video is going to take me several days to film because I've got a lot of plants, and the last one of these that I did all in one day, which was absolutely insane. I don't know what came over me at that point. I think I had like the new creator motivation flowing in my veins, and I was just ready to make the whole video all at once. I do remember I was freaking exhausted afterwards, so we're not going to be repeating that again. We are going to, well, my game plan is we are going to do the Hoyas today. So I have got a whole Hoya shelf, which is slam packed with Hoyas. So that's going to happen today. And then hopefully the next 2 days, if I can stay on track with my time, we are going to be doing the rest of my plants in my main grow space, which is out here in kind of like my dining room type area. And then we are going to be ending with my grow tent, which is where I keep all of, well, most of my anthurium. All of my like fancy anthurium are in there. Now I have recently done an entire anthurium collection video, or 2 videos technically, because I had to split it up into 2 parts because it was so long. So I'm not going to be going over every single anthurium in the tent. However, there are a lot of plants in there that I have not spoken about, either because A, they weren't really anything to look at because they were just seedlings, or B, they were new and I didn't have them when that video was being filmed. So trust me, we're going to spend plenty of time in the anthurium tent, especially because once I go in there and I start talking, I literally physically cannot stop myself. So that may in fact end up being the longest part of this video, who knows. As always, there are going to be chapters or timestamps or whatever, which are going to show up somewhere below the video, like in the description or something. So if you want, and it should be in like the little bar on the bottom of the screen, where if you want to fast forward to a specific part of the video and you're not interested in like the shop information or the Hoyas and you only want to see the anthurium tent, things like that, you can just skip right ahead and you don't have to worry about all the other stuff. Okay, so we're going to start off with a little catch up here in the intro. Well, first of all, if you've never seen any of my videos before, hello. My name is Leslie. I have a lot of plants. I make plant videos. This is Sully that keeps interrupting me. He hates it when I talk to anyone other than him, so you will probably see him throughout this video or hear him screaming at me in the background. It has been another hot minute since I've recorded a video, and that's just because we've had a lot to do over here with trying to get everything lined up and ready to go with the shop, which fortunately I feel pretty good about at this point. I am a perfectionist in the worst sense of the word, in that I spend all of my time making things feel perfect, but they never feel perfect. So I'm just like spinning my wheels forever. Fortunately, my husband is much more practical, so he kind of like motivates me to stay on track more. I also just really like spending my time booping about in Canva, making really cutesy photos, or what I think is cutesy photos to put on the website and Instagram and stuff. So I've been having fun with that, but it has not been, you know, time blocking has not been happening. However, I am very pleased to finally announce that Shadow and Faith will officially be live October the 29th. My goal is to have this video up on Monday, which is going to be the 27th. So that will be the Wednesday after this video is uploaded. If for whatever reason something occurs and that date is changed, I will insert all of the correct information in this video so you will know. Also, our website link, which is going to just be shadowandspace.com, and all of that information will be in the description if you would like to click on that link and see what is going on. It will not be live until the 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to go onto the website before then, it will have the option for you to put your email address in, which will give you like reminders and notifications when we launch or whenever we have a restock. We will also be popping in over on PALMSTREET. I haven't quite figured out how I want that schedule to work just yet, because we want to do the website launch on our website, of course, but then we're also going to periodically be doing purges over on PalmStreet. That will still just be at my normal PalmStreet account, which is Leaves with Less, which will also be in the description if you're interested in following me over there. We will also be doing lives over there occasionally. Again, the scheduling and things like that, we just have to kind of see. We have to feel it out a little bit. We're going to see how this first launch goes and give ourselves a little bit of time and kind of get into a flow. And then we hope to have kind of like a set schedule where you can expect like releases and then purges and lives and things like that. Just all I can recommend is right now, go to the website, shadowindspace.com, and sign up for reminders. And we will be sending all that information out to y'all if you're interested in joining us either on PalmStreet for a live or a purge, or you just want to shop the restocks through the direct website. I have also set up a business Instagram account for Shadow in Space, which will again be linked in the description. However, if you would like to follow us over there, I'm going to be strictly using that for like restock notifications, just another way to kind of keep in the loop. Also, I'm going to be using that to post like sneak peeks of what is going to be in the restock and things like that. It may change in the future as to kind of how that page functions, but as of right now, I'm just trying to keep it like aesthetic and cutesy and informative as far as like keeping track of when things are coming out, you know, if you want a little sneaky peeky, see what's coming up, that kind of thing. Just keep it fun and not too serious. Thank you so much to everyone who has been so patient and has been sending me messages and just inquiring and trying to follow along to see when we're going to launch to support us. It truly means so much to me. Also, anyone that watches these videos, like, subscribe, anything like that, we just truly appreciate y'all, and it really does make a world of difference when you're trying to start a small business. Just like the support is very meaningful. Anywho, we are going to go ahead and get straight into this tour because we've got a lot of plants to get through here, y'all. I thought that this would be a great way to announce the shop information because you get to see every single plant in my collection. All the plants that we sell are propagated from my collection. Also, in the future, we're going to be hybridizing the anthurium, which are in the tent. We also sell like offsets and clones and propagations and things like that. So you can definitely expect things like that. If you see a plant that you're interested in, there's probably at some point going to be some type of propagation or something available from it in the shop. I've also had a lot of people who have been inquiring about specific anthurium that they want to buy a propagation or an offset from. So if you are one of those people or you're interested in a specific clone of a specific plant, on the website, there is going to be a tab that says clone offset request. The way that that is going to work is when the site launches and that email address is revealed, you will send an email to that email address. It has the information on what to include in that email, and I'm going to be adding people to the wait list for whatever plants people are interested in a specific order. I am still going to be posting clones and offsets and everything on the website just for general restocks, but we are going to maintain a like request list, wait list for certain plants just because it takes a really long time to grow some of them, and I may not even propagate some of them unless there is a request. So if there is a specific plant that you're interested in, just follow those instructions to send an email through the tab on the web page, and I will be putting everyone onto the list in the order that I receive the emails just to make it fair for everybody. And then when something becomes available, I'm just going to go down the list, and if you're not interested, I'll move on to the next person and I can put you back on the list if you want to. So yes, we're going to be taking a look at every single plant in my collection except for the anthurium. Technically, I mean, you're going to be getting a good look, but if you're interested in seeing all of the anthurium in my collection, I will also be linking those two videos in the description box if you want to get a more detailed look at them. And if you're interested in any specific plants, just leave a comment and I will kind of like make a mental note of that as far as like what I'm going to be propagating next and what I should offer in the next releases and things like that. I mean, of course, like as things start rolling and people are buying things, I'll kind of get a better idea of what more people are interested in. But yeah, feel free to leave me a comment if there's a specific plant that you are interested in that you would like to see in the shop, and we will see if we can make that happen. All right, guys, so just really quickly, we're going to start with an overview of my growing space so you can kind of tell where everything is and kind of like where we're going with this tour. So first of all, over here, this is going to be my Hoya shelf. So we have got all of my Hoyas, well, not all of them, that's a fat lie. We have got a lot of my Hoyas over here. I've actually got a lot of Hoyas over here in this area also, but we're going to be doing those in a separate part of the video when we do this whole Vittsjo shelf. So we have Hoya Shelf here. We have got Vittsjo Shelf here from IKEA. These have got a lot of my miscellaneous plants on it. So I've got alocasia, philodendron, syngonium, rhaphidophora, monstera, Dieffenbachia, Hoya, pretty much everything. A little bit of everything over here. So we're going to do the Hoya shelf today, and then hopefully tomorrow we're going to get to this Vittsjo shelf, and we're going to go through every single one of these plants one at a time. And then we have got some of my bigger plants kind of over here behind the sofa. We got a couple more Hoyas up here, some anthurium, that kind of thing. As far as my living room goes, not a lot in here. I do have my orchids in this window, so we're going to be getting to those. And then my grow tent, which has got the anthurium in it, but that is in my office. So we are going to get to that last. So we're going to start right here with this Hoya shelf. All right, y'all, so I've got you set down on the tripod right now just because I need both of my hands to pull all these trays out to show you each one of these one at a time. So yeah, we're just going to roll with this angle for now. I do have my light box out here too, so hopefully the lighting is pretty good and we can see all the features of these guys. I'm not going to spend a super long time on every single one of these because I've got a lot of Hoya that we've got to make it through, and I'm trying to keep this video as concise as it possibly can be. So first off, we're starting with the Hoya, I want to say Pulchera, Pulchra, but it might be Pulchra. I don't know. We'll say Pulchera here. This is a really cool one. Very long leaves, rigid leaves. It also has a really cool purple back when the leaves kind of first emerge. You can see this is a more recent leaf and it still has that purple on the back. This is just a really cool one. It's kind of, normally it's like a matte texture. Some of the leaves have been coming out kind of glossy though. Next, we have got the Hoya AH Black Magic. This one is fairly sun-stressed right now. I have it up under the Barina T5s. I'm trying to figure out, is this lighting too much? Maybe that looks a little better. I don't know. This lighting business is not for the faint of heart, y'all. But yeah, this one is a really pretty one. It does sun stress super, super dark. Like this leaf is pretty dark. Most of the time, it's more of like a normal green if you don't have it under really bright grow lights or in direct sun. You're probably not going to get that super dark leaf color. This one has also been super duper slow to grow for me. It's only given me 2 new leaves, I believe, since I got it. And I did cut those off and try to propagate them, which I do think that they have rooted in here. So that makes me feel a little bit better knowing that at least the, 2 leaves that it gave me in the past 2 years have not died off. This one I absolutely love. This is my Lambii AFF. But this one is another one that has not grown for me in a million years. It has just started growing again. So we have got a couple of little baby leaves here just emerging. If you will focus, camera, please work with me. But this one has got the most beautiful splash you have ever seen. Like, look at that. That is just absolutely incredible. This one also sun stresses a super duper dark purple, which is absolutely gorgeous because you get that really dark purple leaf and then the veins are really green and then it has the silver splash. So yeah, absolutely gorgeous. I got this originally from Hoyas and AI on Etsy. However, I don't know if they sell on Etsy anymore because I haven't seen, unless I've just been missing it. I haven't really been on there quite as much. This is my RHM 14-1. This one is really interesting because it tends to grow really flat, which I just think is kind of funny. And then it also has these really cool abs, if you can see that kind of like in the lighting. I actually will have 1 or 2 cuttings of this in the first like restock when the site launches. But I think I've got a couple more propagating right now as well. This one's a pretty fast grower. And then last one in the first tray, this is my Incrusata Eclipse. But I do have another one in here that I bought as an Incrusata Albo, but I think they're the same thing. So I don't know. Because this one is the Albo, and that's the leaf that I originally purchased it with. And it did give me this one crazy leaf that looks like the Madara Snow Angel, which I was absolutely enamored with when it first came out. I was very shocked. But the other leaves that are coming out of there just look like the regular eclipse. Like they have this just kind of like green on green variegation. So I don't really know. But it is a beautiful Hoya either way. The leaves are super duper rigid. This is one of the most rigid leaved Hoyas that I have ever come across. So very, like these would just snap in half if you were to bend them too much. And this is another one that's just, I feel like a lot of my Hoya has been stalled out recently. I did a full treatment of sulfur on everybody, which I just washed off. So I was like, this would be the perfect time for an entire houseplant tour because everybody's like cleaned off and fertilized and everything. So yeah, anyways, I think things are starting to pick back up after I washed all that sulfur off. Alrighty, next up, I have one of the few Lacanosa in my collection. Listen, I do like Lacanosa. I like a lot of the varieties. However, I'm just not the biggest fan of having one Hoya in 57 different colors. Like I would rather just choose the one or two that I really like and yeah, admire the other ones from afar because it's too much when you're trying to have every single variant of Lacanosa when there's 500 out there. This one is the Queen Midori, which was my favorite variegated version. And I purchased this as maybe like a two or four leaf cutting. And it grew really well, propagated it, and it is now growing back. So this is one that I'll definitely have cuttings of for sale at some point in the shop just because it does grow pretty vigorously. But I absolutely love this one. It is so pretty when it starts trailing, and I just think the variegation is really gorgeous. This one is Ko-Chang Island. And when I purchased it, it was with this leaf right here. If you can see the splash on that, it is just, let me flip it this way. Absolutely phenomenal. Like that is just, Lord, that is gorgeous. And it does have pretty good splash still, but it does remind me a lot of the, what was that? The RHM 14-1. So I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be one that I'm going to keep forever. Like I may end up just selling this whole plant. Not that I don't like, I don't know. Not that I don't like it because I do like it. It's just I had hoped that that splash would be a little bit more apparent. I really liked how it had this kind of like pixely, like faint, snowy looking splash with the bigger splotches of silver going through it. I just thought that was really unique. And while this is beautiful, I have several other Hoya that kind of look like this. So again, I'm trying to stay away from having like the same look a million times because I just have so many plants. I just don't have the capacity for that. This is one of my favorite Hoya, although mine is not looking the very best right now. This is the Hypalasia, and this one has got super dark, dimply leaves. However, mine's not looking very much different than the Pulchera, honestly. But it does have the ability to have that really interesting look, which I love. So hopefully when it starts growing, we'll get some more of those, that like dimpling in the leaves that I really love. It has shot out this tendril, so I'm hoping some of these new leaves will come to fruition on there. Also, y'all, if you see this white, like powdery stuff on here, that is all just leftover sulfur from the sulfur treatment. I like to do an annual sulfur treatment just to kind of keep on top of flat mites because that is just like a really common persistent pest in Hoya. So even though they're growing fairly well, I do like to spray everybody down with sulfur at least once a year. This is one that I absolutely love that I've not really seen many people talk about. So this is the, I cannot read this, Cutis porcellana nominate form. Oh, it's on the thing here. Yeah, Cutis porcellana, Porcelana, nominate form. Look at how cutesy these leaves are. Like the veining on here. I'm just absolutely in love with this. I really hope the camera, it's so hard to get the camera to like focus the right way. Yeah, but she is just so cute and delicate and such a fast grower. I think I propagated this recently and have a couple of cuttings down in here. And we've got some tendril growth here at the top. So she is doing really well. But yeah, just like a very pretty, delicate, veiny, green Hoya. This is a very, very difficult one. I would maybe even say this is the most difficult Hoya in my collection. And it is the Verticillata SP Sulawesii. And this one, the reason I love it so much is it has this incredibly red sun stressing, which is gorgeous. You can kind of see it a little bit on these other leaves. And then the leaves are very like, kind of like sub-velvety. And I don't know if you can see on here, but the silver, it has a bit of a silver splash that does also sun stress, that kind of red color. And the more sun stressy it gets, the prettier it is. Like this one is just so incredibly beautiful, that deep burgundy plummy color when it sun stresses. But it has just been the biggest pain in the butt to grow. Like literally this down here has looked like this for probably a year and a half. It has given me these 2 leaves in the entire time that I've had it. Although it has a tendril up here, but it's just not, it's just not doing anything. These are not really going downhill. Like the leaves look pretty good that it does have, but it's just not wanting to grow. I've somehow lost the name tag for this one, but I'm fairly certain that this one is Hoya Collina. And I'm pretty bummed out over the fact that she has totally lost her splash. Like if you can see down here, look at how cute that silver splash is. And I really like the way the splash kind of has like some striping in it. I don't know if the camera is going to focus enough to show that. But it's just really pretty and unique. And then she's growing finally, but yeah, just none of her new leaves have any silver splashing on it. So I'll probably have to cut her back again in hopes that some of that will come back through. These next two are a couple of my favorite variegated Hoya. This is the Diversifolia Maharani. And when I saw this plant, I was shooketh, and that does not happen very commonly for me anymore with Hoya. But look at how interesting this variegation is. I love that like super layered variegation where you get all these different tones and the contrast between this like greeny yellow and those super dark leaves. She is just truly gorgeous. And I had propagated her and it was like just trying to fill her out a little bit more type propagation. So I shoved them back in the pot. And she has been growing super well. I did forget to wash off a couple of leaves with that sulfur there at the bottom. But look at how big and full she is now. And this is, when it gets going, it is a very, very fast grower. And just absolutely gorgeous. And then we've got another verticillata, however you say that. Quang Nagai, if that's the correct pronunciation, which it probably isn't. This one is another really gorgeous variant of the verticillata. And this is more of like an outer variegation versus the other one is my inner variegation. Again, trying to have the exact same thing over and over. But because these are a couple of my favorites, kind of like I really liked the difference there. Also, the leaf shape is much different. This is a cleaner leaf shape. You get that more oval shape and smaller leaves. The Maharani gets much larger leaves than this one. And this is just another really great example of absolutely gorgeous variegation and another really fast grower when it's happy. All right, guys, the last tray on the top row. This is an Ake. I can't even remember. It's either Ache or Ake, A-C-E-H. This one's Gomas, G-O-M-A-S. Absolutely love this, like, Hoyas from this area, Ake, like wherever those are coming from. Every single one of those to me are exactly my vibe, like the cool, crusty, kind of like dark and moody type Hoyas. That's what it feels like to me. This one has got a really interesting kind of like primary central vein, and then it's got these other secondary veins that go around the margin of the leaf. Just gives it this very unique look. Another very, very, very slow grower for me. It has just started growing again. You can see we've got a couple of tendrils here coming up the trellis, but incredibly beautiful Hoya. And it has the typical like red veining down the middle, that central vein on the leaves, which tends to be kind of standard for Ake, at least the ones that I have. This is the Lichow Splash. This is another one that I'm not absolutely certain that I'll be keeping because this is just, again, looks very similar to a lot of Hoya that I have. I'll probably line them all up and then try to decide which ones are my favorites and then get rid of the rest because I really do not need this many duplicates of all of these. Although I do really like this one because the texture and the veining is a little bit different and the splash is very consistent on this one. So that is a positive. Okay, guys, this is one of my favorites. This is for reals one of my favorites. I'm definitely going to have some of these for sale on the website. I will probably always have some of these for sale on the website because this one grows so freaking fast and it is so easy. Like it roots so easy. And it looks like she's been trying to give me a peduncle. I don't know if she's going to flower at any point in the near future, but she is trying down here. But this is my Denisii Frida, and this is the inner variegated, and this is the most gorgeous, delicate Hoya. It is more of a thin leaf Hoya, but when the leaves come in, you can barely see it on this one, but they have this like very rosy pink tone to them when they come in. And then they grow into this like very soft, delicate variegation with the interesting veining. And it does have the capacity to kind of have like a more muted variegation. You can see on this side, these leaves are a little bit darker with, like, you can't really see the variegation quite as much in the middle. It's more of like a green on green. And then you can see down here at the bottom. And then the new growth here at the top, which is just this so beautiful. Moving right along, we have got my Hoya Gray Ghost / Nova Ghost. I have two different plants in here. One is supposed to be a Gray Ghost, one is supposed to be a Nova Ghost, but they look super duper similar. So I honestly don't know if they're even different plants. But yeah, this one absolutely gorgeous. This is one of my favorite silver Hoyas. You can't really go wrong with carnoses. Like, they tend to be just like so easy to grow, not fussy. They grow fairly quickly in terms of Hoya. And just, yeah, really beautiful. This one's more of like a rigid leaf, which I do tend to prefer. This is another really beautiful silver one this is also a verticillata. This is the Silver Heart. Now, this one has got very round, plump, rigid silver leaves. It gets a very pinky sun stressing when it's close enough to the light. This one, because it's so short, it doesn't really get close enough to the grow lights to get that sun stress yet, but it is starting to tendril out pretty dramatically. And we've got some new growth near the top, so hopefully those will eventually sun stress a little bit more. This is a little splashy silver one. This is ETS10 silver. And I loved this one because of how round and cutesy its leaves were. Like, how precious is that? So cute. However, very slow to grow. I did take a couple of cuttings of this. One I put back in here, and it has not died off, but it's also not growing. And then I do have a propagation of this in one of my bins that I may sell, but I'm just kind of holding on to it, like, just in case this one goes downhill, because it is kind of a slow grower and it hasn't been growing super dramatically. So I'm just trying to be safe. Another couple of my absolute favorite Hoyas. This is the SR 2007/13. I'm sorry, -13. And I love this one. This one is, I had not really seen this one very commonly. I'm starting to see it pop up a little bit now, but it's just not many people talk about it. I love it though, because it has like long, rigid leaves, splashy, but it also has this lighter color in the middle that kind of like fades to an ombre of darker green at the edges, which is so incredibly beautiful. I did propagate this recently. This had grown a vine, but the top of the growth point had died off. So I just chopped the rest of that vine down and took 2 propagations. So hopefully we will have several good vines going of this before too long, so I can start some props. This is one that I'm absolutely in love with, but it is also a pain in the butt. This one has got super wavy leaves, which I don't see all the time on Hoya. Can you see how wavy that is? It is super cool. It's also like very pointy and ridgy and veiny and splashy. This is like everything that I like in a Hoya. I just really wish that it would grow more. It has given me, I bought it as a 2-leaf cutting from Hoya Ho on Etsy, which is one of my favorite Hoya sellers. And it has grown these 2 leaves, and it was doing pretty well. And it had another leaf here and a growth point, but it dropped the leaf and it also dropped the growth point. So I really don't know. I've been trying to fertilize a little bit more just to see if, you know, maybe that's the problem. Maybe it needs a little more nutrients. I've been using some kelp recently, which is supposed to, I don't know, just be a little beneficial. So we'll see if anything comes of that and we can get this guy to grow, because this one is another one that also has that like dark vein in the bottom. I don't see this one very often. I feel like people would like to get this one, but yeah, it won't grow. So can't sell it, can't propagate if it won't grow. Yeah, I'm dumb. I forgot to mention, this is the Blang Becke. Blangbeke. The reason I'm spelling this is I'm not putting the names for every single plant in my collection on the screen. I'm sorry, it's easier for me to just give the information right now. I do normally do that. So in my other videos, I like to put the name on the screen so you know what I'm talking about. But in this one, I just cannot put the name for like 500 plants on the screen. I just don't have that in me. But yeah, so if anyone else also, if anyone has this and you have some trick as far as like humidity, light, whatever goes to get this growing, I would love you forever if you would let me know. This one, pretty cool, dark, crusty vibes Hoya. This is the SP Sumatra. I really love this one. Again, very slow grower for me. I've not really been able to propagate this one very much. I think I have the mother plant in like 2 cuttings down here, which is really not a lot for me. I like to try to propagate, or I have been trying to propagate as much as possible because I want to get these plants with more vines so that I can continue to propagate and sell them off. But yeah, they have just not been, some of them have been moving really fast, some have not so much. This is one that has not so much, but it is kind of starting to bounce back a little bit. We do have a couple of tendrils coming in at the base, but this is just a good standard, like dark, splashy, not like, it's got like a little bit of a serrated edge, but not super significantly. Dark vein on the back. So yeah, it's like typical Hoya things. This one is AH041. This one I really like because it's kind of, well, it does have a lot of those similar vibes with the dark, the splash, whatever. This one is much more pillowy. It's not quite as rigid either. So I really like the pillowiness of this one and just how round and voluminous it looks in comparison to some of the other ones. I just think she's really cute and kind of like chunky and chubby looking. Not really a significant splash on it, but I do like that combination of like this like gentle, it's like a little bit Taikani where it has like just like a little bit of this splashy silver and then the big chunks of silver. I think that's really pretty. And then bottoms of the leaves, pretty typical, not like any significant coloration in the veining or anything, but yeah, just overall good, easy, cutesy Hoya. This is another one that I thought was going to croak, but it surprised me by starting to grow. And this is the SP Lampion Red. And it is not red right now because it is not close enough to the grow lights to sun stress. But this one is super duper cool. I like how long and skinny the leaves are. It looks a little bit Callistophylla-y or like Finlaysonii-y, something. I don't know, something. It looks reminiscent of something in my head, but it's much skinnier. So it has these like really skinny, cool, rigid. The edges are quite serrated on this. Like when you rub them, you can feel that jaggedness in there. And I have tried to propagate this again recently because it was growing for me. The propagations do not look great. Like they're really, really floppy, but they're stained green. So yeah, I don't know. This one is a cool one though. I would love to have more of these available. It does have splashing on it as well as that like really dark veination. It's a really cool one. This is an oldie but goodie, my AH0001. Tried and true. She is a trooper. She has come back from so much. I've propagated her a million times. And she's still rolling. She just rolls with the punches. She's got these really cool round, again, with the kind of like serrated, jagged edge. The splash on these, absolutely phenomenal when they kind of get going. It has almost like a, I don't know, it's almost like a taupey color, like a tannish splash instead of it being this like really stark silver. I don't really know how to explain it. It may have to do with like the sun stressing a little bit. This is its most recent leaf, but is that not just absolutely gorgeous? I just really love that color of the splashing. I don't even know if you can really tell on camera, but it's not like true silver. It has this very warm, tannish, almost a little greeny tone to it. This one is the Patchouli or Icensis Splash. And I was about ready to give up on this sucker because it was growing, but all the leaves it was giving me were like this, which are not bad. Don't get me wrong. Like that looks good, but I bought it with this. So like, this is what I wanted, right? And then it started growing again and it's giving me almost all silver now. So that was a relief, but this one is a really cool one. Again, pretty easy in terms of things. This one I think probably did have flat mites just because it has a lot of that like lumpy growth here in the middle. but I did treat it and it is growing again. So we're going to hope that kind of took care of things. I may treat it one more time just to be safe, like maybe in a month or so. But I think I left the sulfur on there for a really long time, so that probably took care of it. But yeah, this one, the splash on this one is just absolutely out of this world. Also, the texture on the leaves, it has kind of like a matte finish a little bit. Like it's not super slick and glossy, especially when it has a lot of this splash. Yeah, it's just absolutely beautiful. Tray number 2. First one, we have got this Stenocchii. This one, it gives me the vibes of the Kaimuki, which is one that I really loved, but I could not grow. It just kept dying on me. But this one has absolutely ginormous, ultra rigid dark leaves. And it's just so beautiful. When I first got it, the leaves were pretty small down here, but the new ones that are coming out are just absolutely massive. This one I cracked in half right after it came out and I could have cried, but I taped it back together and the sap kind of mended itself. So blessings all around. This is Hoya Una. This is another one with kind of that splashy, dark border, kind of same type vibe as mini Hoya that you've probably seen so far. However, I just really like this one. I don't know what it is. I think it's because her leaves kind of curve. Like, isn't that just so cute how the leaves all curve around like that? And she's been so easygoing. She's been sizing up quite a bit too. Like, these new leaves are pretty dang big. This is another one where I thought these were like huge leaves when I got it. And then the first leaf it gave me was this massive one. And they're just so cute and rounded. I just really love that. She has a really good personality. I don't know. You just know how some plants have a really good personality sometimes, and she does. This is her most recent leaf. It's a little curled in, which I don't know what that is about. I did recently repot her because she was drying out so much, so that could have been the case. But this is another one. Highly recommend this one. This one has been super easygoing and fast growing, considering the fact that she has needed a repot for a long time and has been drying out way too much, and she's still growing and vibing, you know? This is a mystery one. I will try to remember to put the name of this on the screen because I cannot remember what it is. But this literally looks exactly the same as it does in the last Hoya collection video that I did. It has not changed whatsoever. It has put out like 2 growth points, which it has killed off. This one is notorious for being a super duper slow grower. So I don't know. I just feel like at this point it's probably dying really slowly because it is not doing anything, but I'm just going to let it do its thing and see what happens. This is another Ache. This one is more of like a glossy, like a simpler look. It doesn't have the really like heavy veining that a lot of the Ache Hoyas do. It does have the splash, nice leaf shape, dark veining on the back, which is really nice. It has just started putting out new leaves for me. You can see one right here. So I'm going to see what happens with this splash. This may be one that I don't necessarily keep because, I don't know, it's just, again, doing kind of the same for me as a lot of my other Hoya. But it is really cute. So, I don't know. We'll see. This is a maybe. Maybe to get rid of. Okay, I remembered what this was. It's the Caningiana intervariegated. So yeah, if you have this Hoya, I feel like a lot of people have said that this is a really, really slow growing one. This is my second Rinsei Borneo because this Hoya is absolutely gorgeous. Like it just gets so dark and purpley and the splash and everything is just perfection on this. However, this has been the biggest pain in the butt for me. It gave me 1 leaf and then killed its growth point off and then nothing has happened since then. So yep. This is Hoya Kalimontan, aka Dark Crassiopetalotta, which is what it looks like to me. I really do not know. I don't know why. Can you even see this? It's so dark. Like, I do like that it's really dark, but I don't know. I don't know why I'm keeping this. This literally just looks like a dark version of my Crassiopetalotta. But for some reason, I am just really drawn to this. Like, I can't even explain it. It doesn't even look like anything super special to me. I don't know what it is. I really just think that it's super dark. I like it because it's super dark. So this is another one that's like potentially on the chopping block. I literally don't even know if you can see this very well because it's so freaking dark. Just picture, if you can't see it well on your screen, just picture a very dark Calistophylla. This is a very sad story of my lye prism that totally rotted. I had the most gorgeous specimen you have ever seen in your entire life, and it just randomly got root rot out of nowhere. And I tried to chop it up and reroot cuttings, and the only one that survived was this one. And it has not died off yet, but it's also not doing anything whatsoever. So I do not have high expectations for this one, which is a huge disappointment because this is gorgeous. This is one of my all-time favorite Hoyas. Like, I just think the variegation on this is absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, I don't know. I'm trying not to put too much hope into this because I really do not feel like this is going to do much. This is my little mixed pot of my Hoya obscura variegated and the chrome. And this one has been such an incredibly slow grower for me also. I'm kind of thinking that maybe I should just repot this because it has been drying out so fast. But the reason I potted it in this was because it was staying wet for too long. So it's like, what do you want? You're not happy with anything I do. I mean, it has been growing. These are 2 new leaves here on the top, but it's just been growing super duper slow. I do really like this like almost green on green variegation. And the obscura is just a really beautiful Hoya anyways. Like, if you can see the silver, like whatever that chrome, it's named something chrome. It is just so pretty, but it will not grow. This one really will not grow. It has like one little tiny leaf that it's given me in the back. This one has a leaf, at least has given me these 2 here. So I feel like it's doing a little more, but yeah, to be honest, it's looked like this for a long time. This is another one that I cannot remember the name of. I know it's something dragonfly. I want to say it's Sabah dragonfly or something, which I really love. I love the oval leaves. I love how dark it is. It's also kind of not fuzzy, but like just ultra matte. Like the finish, like I don't know. It's definitely not fuzzy. It's just very, very matte. I don't know how to explain it. This is another one that totally rotted on me and I was very upset over. However, all the cuttings that I took rooted and I potted it up in here and it has a lot of good roots, but it's just, again, growing pretty slowly. It has finally put out this leaf, which doesn't look the best, but this is the first leaf that it's given me, so I don't know. And we've got a cute little vine with a couple of baby leaves on there, so I'm hoping that this will end up growing out okay, even though it definitely doesn't look the best right now. Okay, this is another lye, or lyi, however you want to say it, Lyi. I purchased this as uncommon form, and this one is another one of my absolute favorites. Like, look at this leaf in particular. Look at how long that is. Like, this one is kind of fuzzy. It's actually very fuzzy on the back. It's like felt almost. But yeah, I just really love the texture of the leaves, the splash, the shape of them, how kind of like oblong they are. It's just so nice. And I just think like aesthetically, this is just like a really beautiful, interesting looking Hoya versus seeing kind of like the same thing over and over. This just gives me a different feel than anything else in my collection. She's been growing pretty fast. I did recently take a bunch of cuttings of her and you can see we got a ton of tendrils popping up everywhere. So hopefully this is one that I'll have some propagations to go before too long. This is technically not a Hoya, it's a Dischidia lancifolia, but I'm still going to show it just because I'm really proud of the fact that I did not totally kill this one. This one was on one leaf, this leaf in particular right here, for like a year and a half, and then it just randomly started growing again for me. I definitely thought that it was just going to rot, but it started growing and I recently took props and stuck them back in here and they haven't melted yet. Like, they don't look great, but they haven't melted yet, so I'm a little hopeful. But this is one that's just so pretty. I really liked like the central, that like really lime green central vein in combination to the dark foliage. Just really gorgeous. There are a lot of really cool Dischidia. It's just this one gave me such a hard time to begin with. It's kind of put me off of the other ones, but I might re-look into some now. This is my prick tie Russian clone. This one looks like absolute crap. Like, this has looked bad the entire time that I've had it. It just has not been happy. I don't know. I almost want to restart it, but I've restarted this like 2 or 3 times now. And just like, it always ends up looking like this. Like, this is not cute crusty. This is not Hoya cute crusty. This is how I imagine non-Hoya people to look at Hoyas. And like, this is what they see. And they're like, why do you like that? That's what this feels like to me. It did give me one leaf up here that was like okay looking. But then it gave me this leaf, which again looks like crap. So I'm like, is this just, maybe this is just how it looks. In which case, this is really not the Hoya for me. This might be one that I like try to chop up and propagate, and I might just end up letting go. It has sprouted out another vine down here. So my thought process is maybe this other vine, the leaves will look better, and I can just cut the first one off. So we'll see if this other vine, if those leaves don't start looking better, she's probably gonna go, because this is just making me feel bad looking at this. This one is pretty cool. This is my Hoya Germany, and it has really, really large leaves. One of the Hoya on my wish list is the Silver Germany, just because I really like the large leaves, the texture. This one's just pretty interesting looking to me as far as like how intense the veining is. Like there's a lot of different veins going on in the leaves that are dark rather than just the primary veins. So I think that's pretty cool. Also has splash, etc., etc. This one grew one leaf since I've had it. Cut that off, propagated it. It is still alive down here, so I'm hoping that it will put out a growth point. And then the main one has started growing again. You can see that tendril right here. So hopefully we'll have some new leaves soon, because I would love to get some more nice big chunky leaves on here. And then we have got my Calistophylla black cat. I absolutely adore this one. Just this really striking bleeding veination. Like, yeah, I just feel like this is definitely the superior Calistophylla variety. I did recently take a bunch of props of this that are in a propagation bin, but I don't know when those are going to be ready. And then last but not least, on this shelf, so this is the last Hoya in the last tray of the shelf. This is probably my favorite Hoya in my entire collection. This one has an absurdly long name. I got this from Cactus and Exotics a million years ago, and it's like, I honestly can't even remember what it is. If I can find it somewhere, I will put it on the screen. But it is just, it's got the crate. I just remember the name being like super duper long. But I think it's a cross between two. But look at this. I just absolutely adore this. This kind of gives me Ake dragon egg a little bit, as far as that like very close veination and the texture. However, this one's pretty splashy, very rigid, kind of matte. So it just looks, yeah, this is absolutely incredible. This is everything, literally everything that I love in a Hoya. Backs, the only thing is it doesn't have the dark vein on the back that the Ache does. But yeah, honestly, like, who's looking at the back? Look at this. This foliage on the front. This is just absolutely incredible. And it just has such a nice stature when it's growing too. Like, it doesn't look sparse or crusty or anything. It's just very plump and healthy looking. I feel like these tendrils are working against me with the autofocus here. I'll tell you what, I'm going to be so pissed if I go back and all of this is blurry from the tendrils sticking out. But yeah, this one is gorgeous. I really want to get a good shot of this so everyone can appreciate the beauty. All right, guys, we are on to the bottom here. So these are my IKEA little, what are these called? Acrobar cabinets. I'm just going to run through these really quickly because Sully is up to no good. He is ready to rumble over here. He's pissed because I'm talking to you. Yeah. He's very cute. Want to say hello? You've been sweet. Oh, thank you. No, he's trying to steal my mic. Yeah. You think I don't know what you're up to, but I do. I really do. Yeah, you helping? You helping? Oh, wow. Thank you. Oh, thank you for the kisses. Thank you. Can you move your buns? Move your buns. Okay, so I'm honestly going to try to like speed run this because I've got to start editing this video if I want to be on track with time. This is my really pathetic Hoya patella pink. This one started croaking as soon as I got it, and I chopped it up and tried to propagate it, and the propagations were looking like crap. But I was like, you know what? You never know. So I showed them in the soil, and it has looked like this for like 6 months. So I don't know. This is another case of we're just going to see what happens. Then we have got Archibaldiana albomarginata, which is looking, I don't even know. I don't even know what to say about this. Like, these were the leaves I bought it with. This is what I thought it was going to look like. Gorgeous. However, it is definitely discoloring along the albo marginata. But I don't know what's going on up here. Here we have got these like fully green leaves, which are brown. I don't know. And then no variegation over here. It gave one leaf of variegation, then no variegation. We've got like 2 tendrils just coming up out of nowhere. So we're just going to see. I'm going to give her some more time. And then we're probably going to be chopped to see if something salvageable can come out of this. This is just a little Mathilde cutting that somebody had given me for free with a plant purchase. And she's, I don't know what to tell you, she's just really cute. I was like, you know, I'm just going to pot you up, see what happens. And she's growing. She's happy as can be. We have got a very voluminous rigidifolia, which is another one that's super cool. They call it rigidifolia because the leaves are very rigid, which is shocking, I know, but very interesting. Again, the leaf shape is just something you don't see all the time. I like the little skinny leaves. I like how they can look kind of funky. They can be super long. Pretty interesting. This is honestly one that I probably do need to take some propagations from, and I will try to remember to do that. We have got my New Guinea Ghost, which I am very, very shocked that I still have this plant. This one totally died back multiple times on me. And when I tell you that the propagation that I took that survived was the thinnest, puniest little cutting you have ever seen in your life. And that is the one that somehow grew into this. And I think I'm going to be skeptical of this plant until the day that I die. We have got my Ganungading, which, again, very shocked that this has got multiple leaves on it. It was this one leaf right here for 2 years. And then it just randomly, like within the last 2 months, started shooting out leaves. So it is actively growing again. It's a happy story. I love how dark the back can get. Like, huge fan of that. I don't know what I have to do to make that happen. Honestly, this is another one that looks very Callistophylla to me. But I don't think that I would be able to get rid of this one just because it didn't grow for so long. And now that it's growing, I'm like, how do I get rid of it? How do I get rid of it after that? Like, I kept it the entire time when it was just one leaf doing nothing, but I'm getting rid of it when it starts growing? No, we're keeping you. This is one that I didn't really care for initially. This is the Hoya inflata. And for some reason, I kept it. Mostly because the leaves are just really cutesy and fuzzy. And they have really cute, like, heart-shaped lobes at the top. And I've really grown to like her. The leaves, when they come out, are this really pretty bronze. And from what I can remember, she has really pretty blooms also. So yeah, I'm very glad that this one has made it this long. This is a Benvergarii, and this is another one that I really enjoy the leaf shape and the veination. However, do we think that she has grown for me very much? Does the fact that she only has 3 leaves give that away? Yeah, she won't grow. She will not grow, but she is really pretty. I also feel like the blooms on this one I liked, so this is probably one that I will hang on to for a while longer because she does have an active tendril, so like she's doing something. She's doing something at least. This is kind of like a very simple, basic green Hoya that I really love. This is the Cron Cane Ruby, and it has got really matte, rigid leaves, which I really like, but I also like just the growth pattern here at the top, at least, because you can see she's very sparse at the bottom. You see we have our little cluster of leaves, and then we have empty stem, and then a little cluster. She's giving Dracaena right now. That's what it looks like to me. But these leaves are so cute. Like, they are kind of matte, very rigid. Veination is really cool most of the time. You do get some that has more of like a minimal veination. This may be because these are closer to the light. And then this is my Hai Phong. This is another one that I've had for a really long time, even though it is just a simple, good green leaf Hoya. I just love how rigid it is, how shiny the leaves are. She's very easygoing. It has dried out way too much, way too many times. And it doesn't care. It doesn't care about anything. It's just gonna kind of grow and do its own thing. And this is not one that I see very often, probably because it's just not like the most interesting Hoya that's out there because it's just plain green. But honestly, I just really love it. Love the vibe. Okay, y'all, final little Acrobar cabinet. I have no idea what this is. No idea. This was sent to me for free. Yeah, it looks kind of latifolia to me, but yeah, no idea. Is this a latifolia? I can't remember. This one always confuses me because I hear people call it two different things, and I cannot remember either of those things right now. But this is a really common Hoya. You probably already know what this is. This has been super difficult to me, keeps trying to croak. I don't know what to tell you. I'm trying to reroot it for the 15 millionth time. This is another Patchouli. I cannot remember the number. I think it's like 22 or 24 or something. I actually will have two cuttings of this that will be available when the site goes live. And it has recently started growing again since I took those propagations. And this is the closest that it's been to a grow light. And I did not realize how dark it sun stresses. Like it sun stresses this like super burgundy plum color, which I absolutely love on Hoyas. And it already has this really dark margin. So yeah, that sun stress is just really interesting. So if you're interested in one of these, just keep that in mind. If you put it close enough to the grow light, you are going to have some really nice sun stressing. And we have got my terrible looking Weymanii cloudy sky that I think is going to croak because the leaves are all yellow and wrinkly. I've just recently cut the top off of this, so I have a 2-leaf cutting that I'm trying to reroot because this one looks like it's just trying to die. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep this and see if anything happens to it because they do surprise you sometimes and regrow. But I'm really hoping that top part will take because I've had really terrible luck with this. And it is just such a bummer because this is one of my favorites. This is the Vitellina splash. And this is another one that looks very, very similar to many other Hoya in my collection. I am keeping this one for a little while because she has just started kind of growing out here at the top just to kind of get a feel for her to see if this is something that I'm going to want to keep because this is another one that's going to be in that group of Hoya that all look kind of the same that I'm probably going to have to narrow down. All right, guys, last one in here. I think this is Apache Claudia, the outer variegated, and I absolutely adore this Hoya. Honestly, it was just growing too crazy for me. Like it was growing too fast. It was going all over the place. It gets very thick and like round when it starts growing and it takes up a lot of space. So I couldn't really fit it anywhere in here. And at that time, it was before I got my Vittsjo Shelves and I literally had nowhere to put it. So I just took a bunch of cuttings and am regrowing it. They rooted out like crazy in water. Like this thing roots so fast. And I've just recently repotted it and it is starting to grow here in the middle. Like it looks like there are some growth points that are coming out. So hopefully this guy will bounce back before too long because I absolutely adore this one. This is another one that has like really cool variegation that shows through like on the back of the leaves, which is kind of like a cutesy surprise. And then of course the variegation on the front of the leaves is beautiful too. All right, guys, it is the next day. We are back at it and just going to keep this tour rolling. I'm going to pull some of these larger plants down and just show them to you here. And then I'm going to get my phone to record on and I'm going to flip it and do kind of like a POV angle for the rest of these shelves just because my camera is too shaky. So I'm going to be using my phone for that. So let's see. We'll start off with a classic. This is my Monstera borsigiana, which is the small form albo. I've had this plant for an embarrassing long time for it to be this small. This was one of my very first like rare plants. I bought it as the white tiger, which I think is just supposed to mean it has more variegation, but I honestly think it's just a name. This is the biggest it's ever been for me. For the majority of the time that I've had it, it's been like this size. Down here, like this was the biggest leaf I would be getting on there. So yeah, I chopped it up and restarted it with 2 propagations, and she is finally growing. She really peeved me off for a second there because she put out this leaf and I was like, I know you are not going to start putting out all white leaves after you have given me so much strife for so long and you finally started growing well and then you go all white. Could you imagine? I would have been so upset. But this was her most recent leaf, so I think this was just kind of like a fluke and we are back with the regularly scheduled programming here. Although this plant does not look like a whole lot at present, this is my favorite pendant anthurium. This is the Anthurium SP Morona. And when this guy gets really big, it gets super wavy, long, crazy, rigid leaves, which I am just a wavy leaf person. If you show me a wavy leaf, I'm going to be into it because that's just my thing. So right now it's not really looking like much. It just looks like a typical, honestly, it looks kind of like a philodendron patriciae, if I'm being honest. Like, it's not really doing the most for me right now. But I grew this from literally the smallest 2-leaf seedling you have ever seen in your entire life. So it's just really interesting when you grow something from so small and it's starting to finally look like something. I did accidentally burn this last leaf because it was touching the row light, but we have got a new leaf coming out here, and I am determined for that one to be a nice one because I would like this one to start looking wavy before too long. This is my anthurium water dragon, and it is variegated. I purchased this quite some time ago, and it had fairly decent variegation when I got it. But I just think, honestly, it doesn't get enough light in the house, even with a grow light, for it to continue that really strong variegation. It is, okay, this is the most impossible thing in the world, showing these to you. Literally all the leaves are like a mile behind the camera. But you can, I don't know if you can kind of see the variegation on that newest leaf, but it's definitely way fainter. It's still there. It is present, but it is just not as prominent as when I first got it, when I'm assuming this was grown like outdoors or something. This had absolutely terrible root rot when I got it initially. I do have an unboxing video for this one on my channel. I will link it in the description if you're interested in seeing what it looked like when I initially got it. This one is huge. I am problematic when it comes to buying really giant plants because I love giant plants, but I'm growing them indoors, so it's limited space. I can't really provide them with the lighting and stuff that they need. So yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing. However, this one has been pretty easy going. I downsized it not too long ago just because I physically could not fit the pot anywhere. Honestly, pretty easy going in terms of anthurium. I find that the bird's nest type anthurium are pretty easy. So yeah, I mean, I do really like this one. This one is pretty wavy. Looks really similar to my variegated hooker eye, which you will see in a little while. But yeah, she is just doing her thing. I've got her on top of the Hoya shelf because I literally physically cannot fit her anywhere else. This is a somewhat recent rescue from Lowe's. It is the Alocasia Maharani. And this is one of my favorite alocasia. I love the really like thick textured leaves. Can we see? I'm really bad at lighting. Okay, I probably look a little bit like a ghost right now, but I just want you to be able to see the leaves very well. This one is one of the ones that has that like really cool brainy texture. I also had the mellow before, and I did kill that one pretty quickly. I am in a downswing, or I have been in a downswing with my alocasia where they've been giving me just a whole lot of issues. I've been trying to restart a lot of them in pond because people have a lot of success with that. And honestly, I'm really exhausted of them at this point. But this one came from Lowe's. So, it was used to kind of like bottom of the barrel care, and it was in the worst substrate ever. So I have this just kind of in my anthurium mix because it's a little chunkier and airier, and I have a lot of issues with them rotting their roots. So we're just going to see what happens. It hasn't immediately melted, which I feel is the typical that happens when I try to bring something home from Lowe's. So, I mean, I feel like that's a pretty good sign of success. Like, she's perky, she's cute. And I do have some corms that I got off of her, which are my fail-safe. Cool, almost missed one already. This is my beautiful Raven ZZ plant. I actually thought this one was dead, but this popped up out of one of my other pots, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna pot her up. And I have her in this really cute like digital planter with a face that my sister-in-law gave me. So honestly, it looks really cute over there. This is my philodendron radiatum, which I have going up a pole a little bit. I'm probably not going to extend this pole and just kind of let it do its thing at the top because you'll notice there are like hardly any moss poles in my collection because I just cannot deal with it anymore. But this one has absolutely amazing variegation. Like, how beautiful is this? Actually, we'll have a propagation of this available for the site launch. It's just a little one-leaf prop because I accidentally broke the top off. So you can see this is the first leaf out of that growth point since I broke it off. But I just love the variegation on this one. Although it's not sizing up like a ton, The variegation is just a 10 out of 10. So I have high expectations for this one once it finally starts like reestablishing itself. I believe this is a Thanksgiving cactus. It's either Thanksgiving or Christmas. I always get those two confused because they look really similar. The Easter one is the one that's really round. But I do believe this is a Thanksgiving cactus. And this one was actually pretty difficult for me when I initially got it. It really just took it a while to kind of establish itself, and then it's finally growing now. I just feel like this is a really underrated plant. Like, this is a super common one. You can always get these everywhere during the holidays, but they just look so cute. Like, is that not the cute? Like, you put it in a cute little planter like this, like a retro cutesy planter. It just looks so good. This is one of the few plants that I do still have on a moss bowl. It is my Epiprimnum pinnatum mint tricolor. And this plant I love so much. Epiprimnum, I feel like, are often overlooked just because you can get them everywhere. While this is a more uncommon variety, you can still get the same growth and leaf shape out of like the Pinnatum albo and things like that you can even pick up at Lowe's and Home Depot and Walmart and stuff if you grow them up a pole. So for me, this one is worth growing it up a pole just because I love it so much and I like those mature leaves. I will have several props of this available for the site launch. And I'm going to try to get a little bit closer just so that I can show you some of the variegation. It is not easy with this giant pole because I'm knocking the chandelier, but look how pretty that variegation is. And it grows so easy and so quickly as like a typical Epiprimnum. But yeah, just like a little bit of a more uncommon variegation pattern. This is my variegated, well, partially variegated Syngonium chiapense. I had one plant originally that had reverted, so I chopped it up as we do and tried to restart it to get some of that variegation to come back. And fortunately, at least on one or two of the vines, it has. So you can see I've got some really nice variegated leaves. Like that one. Yeah, looks so good. And then that one only has a little bit of variegation, but the leaf that's coming out looks pretty variegated. I've got several half moons. I also have, sorry, I'm bonking the crap out of my chandelier. Like this over here. So it looks really cute. And I like how full it is, even though a lot of these leaves are not variegated. The Syngonium chiapense is just a really beautiful plant. And I love the leaf shape. I love the kind of matte texture. And Syngonium just tend to be really easygoing also, which we can definitely appreciate when we have a large collection. This guy is another rescue from Lowe's. This is my Alocasia platinum, or Alocasia bisma, I've seen it, I think, called before too. And this is a good story on this one because it's actually growing. So I'm very shocked that I got two rehab plants and they were both Alocasia and they were both growing, because my best case scenario was that I got a cute pot and some corms to try to regrow the plant when it inevitably croaked. But they're both doing really well, and I did get corms off of both of them, so that's pretty cool. But I really love this one. Just a really cool looking, rigid, like silvery Alocasia. And this is actually my second one. I killed the first one, and when I saw this one on clearance, oh no, I lied. I got this from Home Depot. It was on clearance for like $6 or something with a pot. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it another shot because I was really bummed because I really like this one. And she's actually doing well. And that is not variegation. She's just yellowing a little bit. All right, we have got a couple of interesting anthurium species. These are going to be more of the green non-velvet variety. I feel like these are really overlooked a lot because we're all so crazy about the velvet anthurium. But there are, ooh, she's just bouncing around. There are some absolutely incredible non-velvet anthurium. Like, do not sleep on these. This is the Anthurium cupulispathum. And I got this from Equigenera a while ago. And Equigenera is a good place to get a lot of these green type anthurium species. However, whenever you import plants or you purchase a plant that is a fresh import, I would just recommend being comfortable with rehabbing plants. And if you are put off by potentially losing all the leaves and having to restart from a chunk, I probably would not recommend buying plants that are fresh imports or directly importing, because that often is the case that you have to kind of restart them. This plant actually came with two chunks kind of like wrapped together in the soil. So I have this one and I have another one that's in my anthurium tent. I'm just going to kind of keep that one in there for security for now. And while this does not look like much at this point, these get absolutely massive, and they get gorgeous veins and these huge wavy ripply leaves. As with a lot of plants that size up like that, I don't know how feasible it is for me to get those results trying to grow them indoors, especially with these non-velvet anthurium typically liking a little bit more light than the velvet anthurium, at least in my experience. And of course, that's in a home environment. But I am still really looking forward to this one sizing up because my other one back here is doing really well. This is the one that's doing well. So this is my anthurium urbanii. She's got this really cool, close, ripply veination. And this was the leaf, the last remaining leaf that was on it when I originally got it. And then it gave me this leaf as its next one. So huge size up there. And look at it, just how pillowy and gorgeous that is. These do get fairly large also. It's just beautiful. And then this is the most recent leaf, which is already, she's still very soft and it's already as big as the previous one almost. This one has a longer tail on it, which I think is really cute. So I'm interested to see exactly how big this is going to get, because this one is one of those anthurium. I mean, they're all kind of like this where they put out an emergent leaf and, you look back a couple of days later and you have like a big leaf instead of that little tiny leaf that it originally came out with. But this one for me was just like really dramatic in the size up. Again, I've got a lot of plants, so I'm not looking at everything on a daily basis anymore. But I remember looking back at this one after a couple of days and I was like, oh my gosh, where did that leaf come from? Because it was so big. This is definitely the coolest alocasia in my collection. And this is the Alocasia Grim Reaper. I got this originally from Top Notch Tropical. And they are the ones, from what I understand, that kind of discovered this mutation. And it is a mutation of the Alocasia Regal Shields, which is good news for us because the Regal Shields is a super duper easy, vigorous growing alocasia. And that has been the case for this one as well. You can see that very similar Regal Shields coloration, but it's much more contorted. It's kind of like the Alocasia Loco, but a Regal Shields version. So it has these really wavy, funky, curled up leaves and crazy looking veination on the back and on the front. And it's very, very dark, which is typical for the Regal Shields. You can see it's looking kind of like stingray-y almost. So just really cool. I don't see this one offered very frequently. I was just kind of lucky to catch this on Top Notch Tropical's restock one time. And it has grown super duper well and super vigorously for me. Positive news for this one, I actually did just recently repot it into this bigger pot. And I got several corms off of it, which I will be selling. I don't really know if I'm going to sell them just as corms. I almost would prefer to wait until they are sprouted because I'm not going to be repotting this very frequently to harvest corms off of it. And I just want to make sure that those corms are viable and they're not going to melt or anything because I haven't harvested corms off of this one before. So we'll see. I will probably wait until those sprout before I upload those on the website so that they're available to purchase. But just keep an eye out in the near future because I do have those kind of cooking in some sphagnum. Another alocasia that has been incredibly easy and vigorous for me, which is surprising considering how highly variegated it is the Alocasia odora. I've seen this called different things. I know it as like the batik or the mint or the blizzard or whatever. It's just like the minty variegated version of the Alocasia odora. That is her most recent leaf. And she just grows so fast, so easy, nothing stopping her. Even all the pups that are down here in the bottom are doing super well. This has been the total opposite case for me than the Odora Albo Okinawa Silver, which is the other one of these that I had. And I really like that one because the variegation kind of formed these funky misshapen leaves, which was really cute. But that one was just incredibly difficult in comparison to this one. I don't have that one anymore. But if you like a really good variegated alocasia, but you want something that's not going to be too fussy, this is a great option for you. I do have some corms that I did harvest from this plant because I repotted it at the same time as the Grim Reaper. However, when I list those eventually, I don't know exactly how much I'm going to list them for, but it has to be for something, right? To make it worth my time. And I know not everybody has these available to them. However, if you do have a Home Depot in your area, I would highly, highly, highly recommend going and checking if you've been looking for one of these plants, because I saw some recently that were bigger than this one for like $20 in the outdoor section, which my Home Depot does not have anything, like literally anything. I'm in rural Georgia, so you can imagine. And they had just like a plethora of these giant variegated Odora Batik, these mint variegated, whatever. And they were in huge pots, like gallon pots, and they were enormous. And I think they were originally like $30 or $35, and they were on sale for $20. So I would just recommend, if you have a Home Depot in your area and you've been wanting one of these, swing by and take a look, because I'm sure they are going to be gone when the weather starts cooling down. This is my philodendron bipennifolium variegated, or the horsehead philodendron, or the, trying to chew on my freaking camera cords. But this one is a very, very, very easy variegated philodendron. You do not need a moss pole for this to size up and start getting that kind of like the shape that it's known for, this horsehead, violin, whatever type shape. And the variegation is super duper good. Like, I would say most of these have pretty good variegation. Like, this is one that is just very generous with its variegation. Like, all of its leaves that are coming out look really good. It almost reminds me of a better philodendron Burl Marks, because it has a more upright growth pattern than the Burl Marks, and it doesn't grow quite as crazy, but the variegation is very stable, and it doesn't need a pole to size up, and it just grows really, really quickly and easy, and is super easy to propagate. So I would highly recommend this one. I can't remember exactly what this plant is. It is a Rhaphidophora something albo. It's like one of the larger form, like these narrow Rhaphidophora. And the variegation is not really strong on this, but I do really love the leaf shape. These like really long, kind of jagged, daggery leaves. So beautiful. You can see it does have the capability of having more of an albo type variegation. It's just been more minty as it goes upwards. Like that one has a little bit more white. I mean, some of these do. That one has a little bit of white variegation on it, and it is sizing up a little bit. This is one that I'm just going to try to, again, grow without a moss pole, because I just can't deal with the moss poles anymore. And honestly, I like the way that it looks like this. Like the way the leaves kind of face outwards. It is so cute, and it's pretty easy going. This one is not like super concerned with drying out or anything. And I repot this maybe 2 weeks ago. You can already see a bunch of really good juicy roots in there, so it roots really quickly. Easy grower. Rhaphidophora are just a really cool genus with some of the most interesting leaf shapes, growth patterns, fenestration patterns, things like that, in my opinion. So definitely don't underestimate those, because they do come in so many types of like variegation and leaf forms and things like that. And then we have got one of my bigger, cool, crusty Hoya. This is an Ache, whatever, as well. This is one of my favorites, because look at that texture on the leaves. Super rigid leaves, cool veining on the back, as is typical. This is its newest leaf, which looks a little funky. It does have edema on the back of it, so I think it just had to do with my watering habits, because I was letting this dry out a little bit too much, but it has started to grow again after having its sulfur washed off, so that's a positive sign. But this is just a super cool one. I will probably chop this eventually, but I'm just not trying to push it back any. Like, I want this to grow really well, so it's going to definitely be a while before I try to take any propagations or anything from those. This is the philodendron for you if you love really weird leaf shapes. This is the Leilano Miano. And this thing is so freaking cool. It's very kind of like a little bit Yopi, a little bit Florida Beauty. Like, look at how long this leaf is. That is pretty crazy. This is a very vigorous grower. Very, very, very easy going. I would definitely put this on par with the Florida Beauty and as far as care requirements. Like, it really does not care. It doesn't care. Those are the care requirements. But I got this one. It was so tiny. Like, if you look at this little tiny leaf, that was the biggest leaf when I got it. And then it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leaves after that. And then this is the last leaf that came out. So it sizes up super duper fast to this kind of like mature size. And I just love the leaf shape. A couple of downsides, which, well, this may be a downside to you, is the petiole length. You can see it really sprawls out. Like, for me, I love this. I think this is absolutely beautiful. Like, I love the way that this looks. And I do have a place where, over here on this Vittsjo shelf, where it can live, and that is not a giant pain in the butt. But if you don't have room for this sprawling wingspan, this thing is probably going to drive you insane. And then the biggest downside, the extra floral nectaries on this thing are insane. Like, I will literally wash them all off. You can definitely see them, probably, I don't know how the camera is working, but on the back of the leaves and on the stem and stuff. Like, it is just crazy, the extra floral nectaries. Now, they don't really drip very much. However, they are constantly beating on the plant itself. And I can literally wash this off and the next day they're back. So it's pretty much just constant. You're just going to have to live with extra floral nectaries if you like this plant. But it's beneficial that they don't drip everywhere, but it's annoying. It is annoying. And then this is the Monstera Burl Marks Flame that I got from Home Depot for $20 like a few months ago. And it has given me 3 leaves since I originally got it. When I originally got it, it had 1 fenestration. And then I had to repot it, and it gave me 2 leaves with no fenestrations, which is not surprising. And then it just gave me its first leaf under my care that does have a fenestration. And it's getting ready to put out another leaf. This is growing so fast. I mean, that is typical for a monstera, but I was just under the impression that this plant was kind of finicky and not the fastest grower from things that I have seen on the interwebs. And it really has been for me. And I don't have this on a moss pole. I literally just have it on a bamboo stake, and it's already sizing up. It's growing really fast. I'm sure these are absolutely tissue culture, actually. So these are tissue culture from Costa Farms, which in my experience, definitely tissue culture tend to be weaker plants than if you grow it from cutting or from corm or something like that. And this one has just been going like crazy. This is kind of funny. I showed this to my husband because I was laughing. It cracked this pot with one of its roots. Do you see this? It just grew out of the side of the pot, and then now it has another one growing out of there. I just pulled this out. I was like, holy crap, what is your dealio here? Because that is a powerful root. That's the thing with monstera. Their roots are going to go wherever they want to go. There's nothing that's going to hold them back. But you can see how crazy rooted this is in here. I did go ahead and repot it pretty much immediately after I brought it home, because someone did recommend that I go ahead and do that, because they had one that rotted pretty quickly when they left it in the media that it came in. So thank you so much, whoever that was that recommended that to me, because it has been growing so well. All right, y'all, and then last one on this top section, this is my Dieffenbachia Big Ben. This is one of the most beautiful variegated plants, and definitely in my collection, in my opinion, probably period. And it's just really surprising because it's a Dieffenbachia. I do really love Dieffenbachia. It's just the growth pattern can be kind of problematic, especially with this one, because it does get really, really big. But yeah, it's just so gorgeous. It has kind of like that Aurea type variegation, but it also has this like cool gray minty blue tone as well, which is what I really, really love. And it is pretty typical for me in terms of growth for Dieffenbachia. Like, it's pretty low maintenance. It has been kind of finicky as far as where it wants to live to not get really significant edema in the leaves, which is kind of weird. It wants kind of particular lighting requirements, and it doesn't really seem to be phased by totally drying out. So I typically let this dry totally out in between waterings and then water it really, really thoroughly. And it likes to live It's like right here in the corner. This is an east facing window and it is pretty much right up against the window. And I have the CNC grow lights right up here. So it gets a little bit of supplemental lighting from that. And it tends to really, really like this area. It does also have a little offshoot down here, which I'm just leaving them attached for now as long as I can physically fit this plant in that space. And then I've just got a few common Hoya hanging up top. This is my Hoya pubicalix. I love this one. I love when the leaves get really, really big. Like, look at how ginormous some of these leaves can get. If you're not familiar with pubicalix, like, yes, it is a common Hoya, but it is just a really, really, really solid Hoya. Like, they have really good splash, oftentimes dark foliage. I really like, this is like half normal pubicalix and half the royal purple Hawaiian or whatever. And I really like that purple Hawaiian one because the stems and petioles and flowers and everything are purple. So it's just really, really gorgeous. But this is very easygoing, very vigorous, and you can find this anywhere. And then this is my regular Hoya Bertonier. They call this DS70, I believe, at Lowe's and Home Depot. They do have these very often. You can also find the variegated version, which they call sea stones. This Hoya is amazing. This is one that just looks really, really, really great in a hanging planter. Like the way the vines kind of stand out like this, it just looks very jolly and cutesy. But the leaf texture is the best part. It has very, very matte, soft, fuzzy, felt-like leaves. And it has fairly dark foliage with black margins. So overall, it is, again, a very common Hoya, but just incredibly beautiful. And once it starts blooming, it blooms pretty prolifically. Like you can see, I've got a peduncle right here. I have got one down here that is about to open. I have got several peduncles, like old peduncles hanging out that continuously rebloom. And it has the cutest kind of like mauve-y pink flowers. And I believe these are the ones that smell kind of popcorny to me. Like my husband smelled them and he said popcorn. And then we have got my Hoya carnosa Crimson Princess, which has got the inner variegation. This is one that you can pretty much always find at Home Depot and Lowe's for $20. Again, a very, very common Hoya. Anything carnosa is very, very easygoing and fast growing. And then last one hanging up top is my outer variegated Hoya carnosa, and this is the Crimson Queen. I do definitely prefer the variegation on this one. I feel like it has a lot more white that kind of stands out. And some of these leaves, like with that pink tone, oh my gosh. This one is never not going to be amazing. I do have a little acrylic shelf. I don't know if you can see it, that's hanging like up in the window over here. I'm going to go through, I have very few plants over there and just a few anthurium seeds, but I'm going to go through those really quickly because I'm going to forget otherwise. This is my variegated devil's backbone. And it's really interesting they call it that because the stems, let me see if I can get one out here. They're very zigzaggy. I don't know if you can see in there. It's kind of full, so it's hard to show, but they zigzag back and forth. And this is just a really cool one. You can find this in the succulent section at most big box stores. And then I've got some propagations of my Hoya multiflora Wonderfill because it was going downhill pretty drastically. Just trying to reroot these to see if I can save it. Then we have got my variegated Anthurium viridifolium, which is absolutely gorgeous. Variegation is phenomenal. 10 out of 10. Love this anthurium. It does not love me. Does not love me whatsoever. I've tried to reroot this a million times. I have grown it everywhere. I'm probably going to just stick this in the tent and see what happens because this literally will not grow out here for anything. And then I have a couple more Hoya propagations up there that I'm just trying to get to reroot. I've got my I've got a Crassiopetalotta Splash. And then I have got my previously mentioned top cut of my Weymanii Cloudy Sky that I'm really, really, really hoping will survive. And then I have a few anthurium seedlings and seeds, like I said, that I have up there that I'm just going to go through really quickly. They don't really look like much of anything. Like you can see, they're just in some kind of humidity enclosure up there. This is a Dresslery crossed with a Carla, crossed with a Splendidum, and that is crossed with an RA BVEP, and this is from Granthuriums. I have also got from Phytorot Plant Company on Palm Street, wonderful seller on Palm Street. I actually won this from Nick and Corbin. They had provided a couple of seeds that they gave away in giveaways, and I won one, and I was just like absolutely floored. I do not know, you know, I do YouTube, but it's not like I know anybody, right? Like I don't know them. I don't know the owners of Fido Rot or anything. But I was just so happy to get this, and it was a seed when I originally got it, and it has grown into a 2-leaf sprout, which you can't super see in there, but I'm not going to open it. This is Nick's Carla Blackier Arachne crossed with a Carla Blackier RA6x5. So that one is going to be super crazy when it grows up. Definitely love Nick and Corbin's channel. It is NXC Plants. They are an invaluable resource when it comes to anthurium knowledge. I have learned so much from them. So if you're getting into anthurium and you have somehow never heard of them, but you are on my channel, I would definitely recommend following them and checking out their videos because they are just so knowledgeable and you will learn so much. This one is one that I got off of Etsy from just an unknown seller. And this was sold as a Forgetii crossed with a Carla Buzz 1 by RA8. And I'm going to open this one because I don't know what is going on. This is not the correct plant because look at these seedlings. Look at those leaves. That looks like some kind of like pallidiflorum or Wendlingeri or something seedlings. Like what is going on with that? But these were really inexpensive, so I'm just going to see. We're just going to see what happens. And then we have one from Stephen Therium, which is another really great seller. He is on PALMSTREET, but I think he also has like his own website and he sells on Etsy and stuff too. And this is, when he does purges, sometimes he'll have like a little $1 add-on or something. And he normally sends out an anthurium seed. And that's what this was. So it's a King of Spades crossed with a Red Crystallina. And that is crossed with an Ace of Spades dark form. Again, you cannot see in there, but it's just a little 2-leaf seedling. And then I've got some seeds from Max Aeroids on PALMSTREET, or at least I bought these from PALMSTREET. He's also on Instagram at Max Aeroids, and he's another phenomenal seller. I've purchased from him so many times. He has absolutely gorgeous plants, has the most beautiful NSE port you will ever see in your entire life if you haven't already seen him or followed him or whatever. And these are just a few seeds. So this is a Cunha PM5 by RA5 crossed with Stripey, which is a Tim Anderson clone. Those are just seeds. And then we have these from him as well, which I just noticed have popped their first leaves. So I will need to separate those before too long because they're getting too big for this little sauce container. But this is Dark Phoenix by Cunha PM3. I'm absolutely in love with anything Cunha. And then last but not least, this is just a single seed. This is also from Max Aeroids. This is his Carla Blackier Max 2 crossed with Debile. And that's another plant that I'm just absolutely obsessed with. And I actually got this from Planty Weeb on one of her lives. It was a new release from him, but I'm sure he'll have them available before too long too. All right, y'all, so I think that I have gotten everything on the top. I'm going to switch over to my phone now, and we're going to do a POV for the rest of these shelves. All right, guys, so I showed you the plants up here. I showed you my hanging Hoyas right here, and we went through these plants. Next, we are going to start on these two lower Vittsjo shelves, and we're going to move over to this area after that. Okay, so we have got, first of all, this is going to be my Hoya. Let me get my zoom corrected here. This is going to be my Hoya Latifolia Snow Queen is what I purchased it as, although it doesn't have the most splash. I would definitely not say this. Can I help you? You're being too loud. You're being too loud. Oh. You're attacking me. Okay, so Hoya Latifolia Snow Queen. Not very Snow Queeny. This is a plant that I was recently influenced to purchase by Melissa because she said that the texture on these leaves is kind of suede and interesting, which I am a sucker for. And this is the name of that one. I don't know how to pronounce that. Pimentiliana Albo, Hoya Treasures. wonderful seller to buy Hoyas from. I would definitely agree that this has got wonderful texture to the leaves, very suede-y, almost velvety. It is a thinner leafed Hoya, but that is just a very interesting thing in Hoyas. Like, I feel like not many of them have this specific texture. And then, of course, the variegation is really gorgeous. Here we have got my Matrata Buntock Silver. This is one that I also thought was going to croak. It had the thinnest, tiniest little piece of stem that was left. And I thought that it was literally impossible for this to grow back, but somehow it did. And we are growing back, and we have got these 2 leaves. These are new leaves here at the bottom. Sorry guys, I keep having to restart because Sully keeps screaming at me. So yes, Hoya Matrata Buntock Silver, beautiful sun stressing, very purple. This was a really beautiful specimen. Like, I had waited a really, really long time to find a specimen that I really liked the variegation on, and I finally found this one for a good price. And then it tried to croak on me. Then it started growing, these 2 little leaves, and I'm gonna wait. It's still in sphagnum moss. I'm gonna wait a while until it actually, like, its roots look really good, but I'm just gonna wait until it starts growing some more. So I'll have like a security cutting if I go to repot it, just to make sure that it doesn't get root rot or melt or something again. Next to it, this is my normal Hoya Matrata. Still an absolutely gorgeous Hoya, really pretty splash, pretty compact growth pattern. She does have this crazy long tendril back here. Like, you'll see a lot of tendrils. They're kind of popping off right now. And then this little guy, this is my Nabuensis. Oh yeah, however you pronounce that. This is another one that has really gorgeous variegation. It kind of has like a nice splash and really nice variegation. This is several props that I took from my original plant. This one does not look good. Like, you can see how thin and like dehydrated the leaves are, but they are staying green, and it did give me this little new leaf down here. So I'm just going to give it a little while, and hopefully it will eventually bounce back. This is a newer Hoya. I will have to put the name of this on the screen because I haven't even made a name tag for this one yet. It is another Ache. You can see we've got that nice vein on the back, but I really liked the splash on this one because it wasn't just silver. It's like almost like a green splash, and then this really nice long leaf shape. Next, we have got my Sulawesiana Albo, and these were the original leaves that I purchased it from. This is one that is really, really cool. Definitely one of my favorite Hoya. The Albo, let me see if I can get under these leaves. This lighting is not working for us here, but maybe you can see the variegation a little bit more underneath the leaves. It finally started growing for me, and I was so excited, and I did a favorites video of it, and then it immediately dropped that new leaf, and then it finally put out these 2 new leaves. This one does not have a lot of the Albo variegation, but this one's got a ton of the Albo variegation, which is just so, so pretty. So hopefully that one will continue to grow. I'm gonna try not to knock that really beautiful leaf off while I try to get it situated in there. This is my Finlaysonii Panga Silver. This is one of my favorite Hoyas. I just think the splashy variegation is really beautiful on this one. And it has really, really rigid matte leaves. It's just so pretty. It's, again, got that kind of like almost like greeny tan variegation rather than just straight silver. In the back, we have got my Hoya Argentea Princess that I thought was reverting on me because we can see our original leaves down here. And then it gave me these leaves. So you can see no variegation, minimal variegation, minimal variegation. But then it started finally coming back. And these most recent leaves look really good. So I feel pretty good about that one. And then this is a mixed pot of my Obovada outer and inner variegated. This one was one that was like really, 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 really slow to start. But once it started growing, it is growing much more rapidly than it took for those original leaves and the original growth points to come out. This one has some really, really great splash to it. Although the newest leaf hasn't had the best splash. So hopefully this will come back eventually. Like you can see on the back leaf, that one's really good. And then the outer variegated leaves are coming in this really funny, kind of like skinny shape, which I don't mind, honestly. And then this back guy, this is, let me get in here. This is just a Wilbur Graves. And one of these is the standard, maybe this one is the China. And this one had totally reverted. It was not giving me any silver, so I cut it back. And we have finally started getting silver again. Even the non-variegated side is really pretty. And again, just like carnosus are really easy in general. This one is one that I really, really love. This is the Hoya Swiffer's Treat. My number one wish list Hoya is the variegated version of this, which is the Swiffer's Nightmare. And that one is so cool looking. Like, look at this new leaf. You cannot tell me that that is not gorgeous. That veination, the splash, how dark it is from the sun stressing. Beautiful. Oops. Oopsie. And then, let's see. We have got my Erythrina Nara, which has taken a really, really long time to start growing. But we do have some baby leaves. So that's probably in this really long tendril whipping around all over the place. And in the back, we have got my little Mathilde that I had gotten from Home Depot. And she has some silver down here, but all the new growth is just kind of like this standard green splashy. But honestly, I don't mind. Like, she is so cute. I just really love that leaf shape. And then this is, I believe, some type of latifolia, some kind of silver latifolia or something. This is another one that I got from Home Depot. And then in the back, I have got a couple of my cactus / succulents. Not sure. I'm no expert in that field. In the back, we have got my little pink variegated one. This guy that I got from my husband that looks like a little brain. And then this really cool looking aloe. I can't remember what this is called. It's some kind of Christmas something or other, which I think is fitting because it's green and red. It's got these like red spikes on the end. I'm not really one for a lot of succulents and stuff, but I really liked those. And then this one, this is Hoya Pestiolpis. And this is just a standard green Hoya, but it has some really cool texture to the leaves. And it's a pretty vigorous grower. Like, it has been growing very steadily since I have gotten it. And it's got vines and what looks like a little peduncle, which is surprising because I didn't think it was mature enough to bloom, but yeah, I guess it is. So that will be interesting to see those flowers. We have got my little Hoya mirabilis here, which has been a very, very slow grower, but a fast bloomer. Like, she's just a very prolific bloomer. She will bloom over and over and over and over and over from the same peduncles, just consecutively, like constantly putting out blooms. Like, you can see on this one, like how long those peduncles are from previous blooms. And she is getting ready to bloom again. It's really cool, matte, kind of crusty, dark Hoya. And then we have got my Clemenciorum, which I have had for many years, that has looked like this the entire time. I have recently taken it out of a propagation box. I have repotted. I have treated it with systemic granules. I have treated it with sulfur. I have fertilized it. And we're going to see if something finally happens here, because if not, I'm getting ready to just get rid of this one and maybe start over with a new one, because sometimes you just really do not get good specimens of a specific plant. And then this is my little, what are you? This is a dragon scale, Alocasia dragon scale mint. Just a little baby. She's doing okay. This is one that I think came from tissue culture. So honestly, those just are kind of questionable sometimes. This is an Alocasia silver dragon variegated. And this is one that I really love, that kind of like minty aurea variegation on. It is just so pretty. It kind of gives me the same vibe as the variegated philodendron silver sword, like that same tone of variegation. It's really pretty. And then we have got my Alocasia green unicorn pups here. These were from corms that I had harvested from that plant that I had found in Lowe's when I was plant shopping. I had some confusion on. Like, my first thought was green unicorn, even though I have not seen those in Lowe's previously. And my mother plant, which is sadly no longer with us, again, as to be expected from a big box store find, but my mother plant was black, almost solid black. And I had not seen a green unicorn that color before. So I was kind of thinking a little bit Infernalis, and somebody else had commented that too. So it's kind of torn between the two. But then when these pups came out, like this is definitely green unicorn. And this is one that's actually, these pups have been growing. These are corm grown super vigorously. Like I had these growing in sphagnum moss and I popped them in pond in kind of like this self-watering setup. And they have just been popping off. Like this is actually only 3 corms, but I've got like 4 or 5 growth points in here. So the corms are really popping off several growth points per each one. And I do have a couple of these that I am going to be offering when the website launches, just from those corms that I had gotten off that original mother plant. Because I had like 9 corms come off of that plant. And I'm hoping that she will eventually get a little bit darker like the mother plant was. And then this one right here, this is a Xanthosoma sagittafolium. And I ordered off of Etsy, and unfortunately it just came in really bad condition. And the seller was very kind to refund me because it did have like some pest stuff going on in addition to all the leaves dying off. There is still a rhizome, and I just stuck it in some pond to see if anything comes of it, but it doesn't feel really good. So I feel like that probably is not going to make it. I found that plant is fairly difficult, even though it is really beautiful and I do love it a lot. This is what is left of my Alocasia Frydek. This I have tried to restart a million times. It'll die back to nothing, and then do this, and just like a little bit of green comes out. It makes me think, oh, this is the time. This is the time it's going to survive. And it never does. It just continuously dies back to that. This is an Alocasia Nairobi Night. Just a little corm that I had gotten online for pretty cheap. Super cute. She's doing okay. This is I can't remember what this corm was. I'd put this in here for this corm, and then I found this little cucullata variegated that came, I guess, from my mother plant at some point, growing out of one of my other plants. So I just stuck it in here too. I can't remember what that is. I guess we'll see when it starts growing. And then we have got my philodendron snowdrift. I adore this plant. I think the variegation is so pretty, but I've just had nothing but problems with this. And I did purchase this kind of like as a rehab from Kroger. And I stuck it in some pond because it hasn't liked anything that I have put it in. It just keeps rotting its roots. So we're going to try pond this time and just see if she will make a comeback. So I really don't want to give up on that one. She keeps trying to grow, and she's so pretty. So I do have hope for her. This is my Alocasia Purple Cloak Princeps. And this is an absolutely beautiful one. Its growth pattern and leaf shape and like the venation on the back is so pretty. If you can see that, it's kind of yellowing. I did have this in no drainage and it was rotting. So I stuck it in sphagnum and it's giving me some really juicy roots. So I'm probably going to try to move this over to pond and see if it likes that, because this one is just so pretty. Those leaves get so dark and purpley. And just the texture and the shape. Definitely one of my favorite Alocasia. And then let's see. I guess this is the last one over here. This is just a little Hoya croniana. This is one, I don't see anyone really care about this one anymore, but I just really love it. I think it's so cute. The way that it grows is really cute. The leaf shape, how it's really like spadey and plump and succulent-y, and the splash. Like, what a cutie pie. I still love you, girl. I'm always gonna love you. And then this little guy over here, that is my Alocasia Watsoniana dark form that I've struggled with since the day that I got it. Again, just tried sticking it in pond in the self-watering setup to see if it will start growing. And then moving on to the bottom here, this is my Discoria Discolor. This is one that I had randomly ordered like a couple of years ago off Amazon because I could not find this anywhere. And I was like, you know what? I found it for super cheap on Amazon. I was like, I'm just going to try it and see what happens. And surprisingly, it actually grew fairly well. I've recently had to cut most of this back because I wanted to move it out here and try to train it to grow up that Hoya Shelf, which it is starting to do. And it's putting out some new growth that you can see here. But its old growth is definitely looking pretty crusty. But this is just a really cool one. This is an ornamental sweet potato, actually, of all things. So it likes a lot of light and it is pretty thirsty. And it does have a tendency to grow kind of crazy once it starts getting happy. So it's just kind of like an interesting one. You just have to kind of keep on top of it and keep an eye on it. But this kind of pixelated camo coloration is super pretty. And then I've got a few of my orchids over here. So this is an unknown phalaenopsis that I got from Lowe's. This is my, what is it? I know it's spectibile dendrobium. Dendrobium spectibile, which has absolutely phenomenal blooms. Sully tried to eat this, and it has miraculously survived. One of the only plants that he has tried to destroy. And then I think this is some kind of cattleya that I got from Lowe's. I can't remember what that is. This is my other unknown phalaenopsis that I found at Lowe's on clearance because it didn't have blooms anymore, this one and that one. Oh no, that's a lie. It did have blooms, but its blooms were going downhill because I remember showing it in one of my previous videos, but I don't remember which one. And this one lost all of its roots. And what I did is I taped it to this bamboo stake to where it was kind of hovering into the top of the sphagnum moss and just kept the sphagnum moss damp. And it regrew all its roots. So that is a surprising success story. And then I've got this little mixed pot back here with a bunch of different orchids in it. So this is in Oceoclades spathifera. That is this one. Really pretty. It reminds me of like snake skin. And then I have got another one over here, Oceoclades monophylla. These are really cutesy small ones. And I just put all these together because it was really hard keeping these tiny pots damp enough. So yeah, we just put them in here and it's much easier to keep it damp. This is a variegated Dendrobium partii that I thought croaked because all that was left was this little stem when I got it. And it actually grew back this year, but it's just really tiny. And then we have got last one in here, Bulbophyllum longissimum, which is this one. This one has really long, gorgeous, frilly blooms, but it is really tiny, so it's going to be a really long time before I actually see those. This is an anthurium Black Beauty Self from Barry Schwartz that I am just regrowing because I can't remember. The growth was just really funky because I was neglecting it because it's out here in this area versus the tent. And we're just going to see if it will regrow. These are a couple of jewel orchids, which I cannot remember the exact species from. I really love this one, how dark green, velvety these leaves are. These have been really difficult, honestly. They've almost rotted out several times on me. And I repot them recently in one of these pots that I use for my anthurium, which are actually orchid pots, but they just provide a little bit more airflow. And I've been putting them down here with a little bit less light. Just seeing if they'll like that. I mean, they are growing. You can see they have new leaves, and I really do love them. But yeah, they've just looked kind of crusty since I've gotten them. And then I have got my philodendron green Congo nuclear. This one I really love. This is one that I really recommend as a variegated philodendron because while it does have this kind of self-heading circular growth pattern, it's more along the lines of the Birkin in that it doesn't get super duper large. Like it stays pretty compact. And when the variegation comes out, it is this insanely neon green with hot pink backs. So this is kind of the same variegation type as the philodendron ring of fire, where that variegation gets really hot pink on the back when it comes out. These are starting to pop up pretty cheap. I actually found this at Publix about a year ago. And yeah, these are becoming a little bit more prevalent at a lower price point. So would highly recommend this if you like this self-heading style, but you don't want something that gets super massive because these do stay pretty compact. I'm gonna leave that right there because I have some little anthurium babies back here. I had to move them down from that. You can see that acrylic shelf right there. That's where these seeds were because these were bleaching a little bit. And this is my chocolate crystallinum crossed with stripey that I got from Grant over at Granthuriums. And you see how those leaves are getting a little chlorotic. Its most recent leaf looks pretty good and it's putting out another leaf, so I think it's fine. These are some seeds that I got off of Wild Roots Nurseries live over on Palm Street. So this is Jungle Giant crossed with Blue Velvet Zara. And then we have got from Phytorot, again, Carla Blackier T3 crossed with Dress Narrow. And then this little guy, this is from Steve Anthurium, Crystallinum, Ace. And this one is from Grant. This is a Cunha PM5 crossed with either a BVEP, RA1, or SP Nav DF. Gonna hope that is SP Nav DF. And then we have got my Maharani corms. I cracked this just because they were molding a little bit weirdly. And then I've got my Alocasia Odora Batik, that kind of like big minty variegated alocasia that I showed you before. Right there. And then this is an anthurium that was sent to me by mistake, and the seller just told me to keep it. Some type of red crystallinum. I was originally thinking about selling it, but it is a really nice red crystallinum, so I may actually keep this. You can see that veination stays pretty pink. This was its most recent leaf. It sized down because it had a little bit of root rot from those original roots when it got sent over. I repot it, and I don't know if it has... Oh yeah, it is starting to root there. You can see that nice, juicy, healthy root. So yeah, I think she will do fine and start sizing up again with that next leaf. But yeah, she's a beauty. I was not anticipating her. I definitely would have not have selected a red crystallinum myself just because they are not really my thing. Like, I like having a red crystallinum or something red crystallinum-esque for breeding purposes. But yeah, I just definitely don't feel the need to have multiple, really. This is my Hoya multiflora albomarginata, I guess. This one has been really crusty looking for a long time. And I repot my multiflora Wonderfill in here with this one. And the Wonderfill crashed out and this one started doing super well. So I just cut the Wonderfill out and have the propagations up top, and we're going to see what happens with those. And then I have got, let me move this. These are just some cuttings from an epiphyllum that started going downhill. And honestly, these don't look great. I pulled them out a little while ago because I was just going to trash them because I thought they were melting, but they are starting to root. So I'm going to give it a little while longer. I think this is called like the Curly Sue or something. And it's a really cute one that does kind of curl in these tendrils once it starts growing. But yeah, I think I just underwatered that one a lot. Epiphyllum are not, they're called jungle cactus, but they are not like cactus. They do not like to dry out. They want a regular watering schedule like normal philodendron and things of that nature. This is my backup Pink Princess that was a pup that grew out of my main Pink Princess. And I'm keeping both of them because it is, I think we can all agree by now that it is incredibly difficult to find a Pink Princess that retains really good pink variegation and dark leaves and actually grows somewhat decently. Like, I think it was just so overproduced that there are so many really poor specimens out there that we unfortunately all got suckered into buying. And this was a really good specimen that I was able to find. So I got this baby one, and then you'll see my main mother plant later on, which is one of the, again, few plants that I do keep on moss poles still. And then I guess we'll just go across the bottom here of this. Those were the lower shelves, and we're over here at the larger, let me zoom out, the taller Vittsjo Shelves over here. So I think we'll just, while I'm in the floor, I'm just going to do this bottom part. This is my Alocasia cucullata variegated. And this is one that I'm hoping I will be able to get some corms out of eventually to sell. This one has really gorgeous variegation. And it has kind of like a fused sinus. So it has these kind of like bubbly heart-shaped leaves. And this one gave me a really hard time for a long time, and it's finally started growing for me pretty well. Like, you can see it's kind of sizing up. There is, a lot of these are non-variegated leaves, but you can see it is still producing variegation, and the variegation that comes out looks really good. And I've got some pups down here that have pretty good variegation. So yeah, we'll just see. I really love this one, which is why I have not given up on it yet. and I've regrown it 50 million times, and we are finally at a point where I think things are looking up. Hopefully, now that I say that, knock on wood, it is not going to crash out on me. These are my corms from the Alocasia Grim Reaper. This is the bottom chunk of my pink Amazonica that has given me nothing but problems. So this is my last attempt on this one. I have cut it back to nothing. It does look like it's trying to put out a leaf. Got it in sphagnum moss right now to reroot, and then I'll probably try pawn with this one and just hope for the best. And if that doesn't work out, then we are done, honey. This is my Anthurium flavonodiatum AFF that I've had for a really long time. Another one that's been quite difficult for me. It's just had a really hard time getting the leaves all the way out because they are so long. And this is one that I am growing in ambient. I have limited space in the tent, so I do not have room for every single anthurium in the tent. This is one that I unfortunately just decided to let grow out here because this was its most recent leaf and it's looking really, really good. So I do have hope for this. I've got a humidifier up here that's running that's kind of providing humidity to this whole area. So hopefully that's enough for this to kind of work itself out. I removed this glass shelf to put some taller plants down here. So I'm hoping that it has more access to the natural sunlight and the humidity up top, and it has some more room to grow. It'll continue to give me nicer leaves now. Alrighty, and this is my Alocasia Weyettii. This was recently renamed to, I cannot remember. Can't remember what it was renamed to. But this is two different variegation patterns. So this is the gold one. I purchased this one because I had this one that has this kind of like gray. Sorry, hopefully I'm not holding this camera all funky. I'm trying to talk and hold these plants at the same time. This one has this kind of like grayish, silvery type variegation to it. And this was my original one that I preferred. And that one I thought croaked. So I was like, let me repurchase it. But they're kind of expensive. I found this for a really, really good deal. And I was not able to find that good deal again. So I found this gold variegated one, which I thought was nice. And I was like, oh, like maybe the gold will be a little bit easier than the one that I had previously. So you can see how beautiful that is. I love the kind of like purpley mauvey underside of the leaves too. It's just so pretty. And then after I bought this, these started popping up everywhere out of my plants. Like not intentionally planted in my plants. Like they were just popping up out of monstera, out of a anthurium, all over the place. And I was like, this is kind of hilarious. Like I feel like this plant is really trolling me, but I'm not going to argue because I was really bummed out about losing that, or this one, this kind of like this gray toned variegation. So I potted them all up together just so that I could kind of keep track of things a little bit easier. And they're actually doing fairly well. So I'm just going to leave them like that. And then in the future, if it becomes problematic, I'll separate them. It does kind of lead to the problem of if I harvest corms, I don't know what variegation pattern they're going to be because I have both in there. So yeah, that's a bridge that we are going to cross when we come to it. And then we have got, this is a variegated peace lily. I cannot remember what they call this type of variegation. This is like a mutant something type variegation. And again, this is just something that I got for a really crazy good deal because I feel like the seller didn't know. Like at the time, this was a pretty uncommon variegation pattern. I don't know if that's changed or not. But yeah, I really love this one. It did take a little while for it to kind of start sizing up. Like I got these type of leaves for a really, really long time. And then it's finally giving me leaves that are a little bit bigger. They are kind of like funky and misshapen just because that variegation pattern does lead to that kind of like contorted leaf shape kind of. And then we have got my Alocasia longiloba that I got from Home Depot like 2 years ago that I've restarted 75 times. And this has got two little plants in it. And this is a recent leaf. So maybe it likes it over here and it will start growing, but I'm not hopeful because it does this over and over and it just keeps dying back. So this is probably another one that I'm just going to end up getting rid of if it doesn't continue to grow because it is not making me happy. Like it's just stressing me out. And then this is Hoya Shelf silver. This one has the craziest variegation on this one strand. Like how pretty is that? And then look at the stem. Like the stem is fully silver with that dark stripe down the middle. So pretty. And then this is the other side. I don't know what is going on with this one. It looks kind of yellowy. I was wondering if it was getting kind of close, like too close to the light. So I put it over here where it's a little bit further away, and hopefully that will remedy the problem. But yeah, this is just a really pretty Hoya, soft leaf Hoya, very dark, silvery variation slash splash. Really pretty. And then we are just going to move upwards here. So that is the lower shelf. And then this is going to be, well, I removed that next glass pane, so they would have more room down here. And then this is the next shelf, and I did the same here. So there's no glass pane here. So I could fit some of my taller plants up here. This is a philodendron giganteum blizzard. And this one has the potential to get very, very, very large. Honestly, too large. I had to restart it because I just couldn't deal with how big it was getting. So I chopped it up and I potted those cuttings in no drainage. And we got some healthy roots in here, so it seems to be doing pretty good. It did sprout this other little growth point right over here. So that is cute to see. But yeah, she's got really, really pretty variegation. And then I've got my Homolemina pink diamond over here. This is another one that I've had to restart multiple times. Incredibly difficult plant, but it does always come back. So it does want to grow. It's just not happy with anything I do. Again, I put it over here where it gets natural light now and some humidity from that upper humidifier. So I'm hoping that that will make her a little bit happier over here. And then this is another Rhaphidophora. I think it's the Rhaphidophora foraminifera, and this is the like Aurea variegated one. This is a very, very vigorous grower if you get it on a moss pole. But I cannot deal with the moss poles right now, so I'm trying to grow it up a stake. These are just two little cuttings that I took that I'm restarting over here. But if you grow it up a moss pole, very, very fast, vigorous grower. And then we have got my Aglaonema spilled milk over here that I chopped up recently because it was just doing that Aglaonema thing where it grows up the like stem and it's totally bald and then all the leaves are at the top. So I was like, I'm just going to chop it up down at the bottom. And I've got those cuttings rerooting, and then I have also got some chonk cuttings that I'm trying to root, and I'll probably sell those. I do want to plant the top part that I cut off and this all together, so I have a really, really full plant. This is just a really, really gorgeous variegated Aglaonema. And honestly, it's pretty easy if you give it consistent care. So if you just stay on top of the watering and light and humidity and everything, it's really not a fussy one. I just did not do that for a really long time. So it did give me some problems, but since I have her over here getting pretty decent light from these Barina T5s, and I've got the humidifier right above her that's coming down, she seems pretty happy and she is growing back pretty well. This is an anthurium. What are you, Carla? No, an RLFS crossed with Carla. And this is one of my original anthurium that I purchased when I was just getting into anthurium. Pretty cute. Minimal veining. Sinus sometimes tries to be wide, but this is the most recently, so I don't think that's going to be the typical experience there. Okay, this is a really, really cool one. Let me get us in a good position so we can get some natural light on this. So this is my Amorphophallus. What is the name of this? I can't read this. I think it's Astroviridis. And this is a corpse flower. You will see a lot of times like botanical gardens having displays when the corpse flowers bloom, because it is just such a spectacle to see this huge, enormous bloom that smells like rotting meat. So they make a whole like thing out of the bloom. Now this is definitely, that's like the giganteum or something. It's the giant version that they typically have. This is a different version. However, when it does bloom, it does have the same flowers that smell like rotting meat because it attracts flies, which are their pollinators. But this one has got the most beautiful foliage you have ever seen. So we know them for flowers that smell like the rotting meat, which is obviously like a very unique trait to the plant. But look at the foliage on this plant. Jet black. Look at the ridges and the leaves and that hot pink margin. This is the most gorgeous plant. When I tell you I am absolutely enamored by this plant, And I never thought that I would see this foliage because they grow in these like fat rhizomes, and the roots actually come out of the top. And I just had the hardest time figuring out what to do, like how to plant it to make it happy, how deep, what type of soil, how consistent the moisture is. I literally had it outside all summer because I thought it would benefit from like the frequent rain and the hot temperatures and things like that. And it never bloomed. And then I brought it inside because it was getting cold again. And I started seeing these little nubs coming out of the soil. And I just lost it. I really did, because I was so excited to finally see this in person. And I recently repotted it because it was getting kind of root bound in there. Like once it started growing, it was really popping off. And you can see on that side, we already got some roots that are kind of coming down. But this one, I think this one was kind of damaged by me repotting it when it was like had these foliage spikes coming out. But I had to do it because the roots were going crazy and it was in a really small pot. But yeah, let me just zoom in so we can really appreciate this, because this is such a special, beautiful plant. Oh my gosh. That foliage. Like, I just cannot believe that pink margin. This is one that I never, ever see. Never see people talk about. And it is so incredibly underrated, kind of funky care requirements. I can't even give any recommendations because I had such a hard time trying to get this one to get to this point. But how rewarding. Okay, I think that is ample appreciation for this plant. This next one, this is a Thaumatophyllum williamsii, I believe, variegated. And these have recently started coming down in pricing. These were originally ridiculously expensive to get these. These are very reminiscent of philodendron, but they have almost like an alocasia anthurium type growth pattern where they have longer petioles that come from the central point. So it just makes them so much easier to grow. One thing I will note about this, they are very, very brittle. So for example, I broke off 2 leaves when I got this just from trying to clean the leaves, because I would like turn them too vigorously to flip them over to wipe them off, and they'll literally just snap off. So if you're interested in getting this plant, or you see this and you are influenced by it, and let me fix my zoom there we go. You want to get one of these. They are incredibly beautiful. They are super cool. I've not had it for a super long time to give any like kind of care advice on it, other than I would just be very, very careful because they are very rigid and brittle and they will snap really, really easily. And then next up, we have got another anthurium. This one I got from Rousseau Plant Care, and this is a pap crossed with his plant that he calls Carlos, which is some kind of Carla Blackier Ralphalinum cross. And this one is just really pretty. Very dark, spidery veins. We've got a new leaf over here, very dark red emergence, which is pretty typical. And then we have got my philodendron Florida Ghost back here. This plant is so pretty. All the Florida varieties for me have been very easy other than the Florida Beauty. But this one really likes highlight, and then you'll get this really intense yellowy minty color. I was not big on the mint to begin with, but it's really grown on me. I love this plant. We are just going to move over here and run down this really quickly before we touch on the plants up top. So first of all, we have got my Syngonium Mojito over here. Syngonium are very easy plants. They do not require any kind of significant care, I would say. This green on green type variegation is easier to care for than things like the Syngonium albo, which I have right over here. This is, however, a very accessible, gorgeous variegated plant. If you want a variegated plant that grows very quickly, is easy to propagate, and is lower, like a lower price point, this is a wonderful option for you. This Syngonium albo has some of the prettiest variegation, especially prettiest white variegation that you will find in any plant. Even though it has become much more common and accessible, that does not take away from how beautiful that variegation is. So those are 2 really great variants for you. We have got the Mojito and the Albo. I have also got, I thought I had one more somewhere. Oh yeah, it's up top. We'll talk about it when we go up there. This is my Philodendron Caramel Marble. I have got 2 of these. This is my top cut off of my original plant, which is this one right here. This is the variegated version of the Philodendron Pluto, or they call it the Philodendron Choco Empress sometimes. That is a really beautiful plant, and these are still somewhat expensive. They definitely come down on pricing, but the Pluto or the Choco Empress, this is what it looks like. So it's just the non-variegated version, but it still has the same look. So if you like the look or you're just not a fan of the variegation, that would be a great option for you. This version that's not variegated is a very, very fast, vigorous, easygoing plant. This caramel marble has been somewhat similar in that way. However, it has been very inconsistent in its variegation. So it did revert on me. It put out like 3 reverted leaves or almost reverted leaves. So I cut it up down to here, which is where the better variegation was. And I'm just letting it regrow. And we do have a couple of growth points here. So I have this one that did put out a leaf, but it was kind of like mangled. So I just cut it off. And then it has this growth point, which I don't think is going to do anything since this one is pushing leaves. And then we have got my top cut, which was fully reverted. However, it put out this absolutely gorgeous leaf. So I potted that back up just to kind of see if this will grow into a nice specimen. I do have some propagations of this upstairs that I may be selling. I'm going to wait to see if they will pop some leaves just so that we can see if they're going to remain reverted or have some type of variegation, because that is something that I would like to be transparent on when I sell those. And then we have got a couple of Hoya back here. We have got my, what are you, Caudata Sumatra. This one is really cool. So very cool texture to the leaves, pretty splash, very dark, very fuzzy. Blooms are incredible. This one has bloomed many times for me. We have got my Hoya Carnosa Freckle Splash, which I picked up from Home Depot. And some of those really do have really pretty variegation, but this is just typical Carnosa, very easygoing. And then I have got my Anthurium Big Bill over here. I had some issues with root rot, but it has finally started pushing a new leaf. It put out one leaf after this that looked really good, but I dropped it right afterwards and broke that leaf off. So yeah, it is what it is, but we've got a new leaf coming out. This one gets absolutely massive. This is another really cool pendant Anthurium, but it does get really big, so I'm going to have to move that eventually. And then we have my Syngonium albo, which we talked about. This is my gorgeous Monstera Stanleyana aurea, and not to toot my own horn, but this one has the best variegation that I have ever seen on a specimen. Like, look at this. Look at that variegation. I'm so blessed. I literally got this probably 3 or 4 years ago from the Green Escape, and I grew it out up a moss pole, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I growing this on a moss pole? Because it doesn't size up. This is pretty much mature leaf size. Like, yeah, maybe it gets a little bit bigger than that, but it doesn't like fenestrate or anything. I don't think, at least, or it wasn't for me on my moss pole. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to chop this back up and grow it as a trailing plant in pon. And I'm very happy that it has maintained that really excellent, beautiful variegation. I have several props of this that will be available on this site launch. And then I have some that are still rooting that I will list in the future. And then we're moving down to this next shelf. These are a lot of my caladium. So in the back, I've just got some propagations from my philodendron Brazil, which I'm restarting just because it was getting way, way, way too big, taking up too much space, and I was neglecting it. So I was like, we're just going to start it over and see what happens. This is a caladium, some kind of caladium hybrid that I bought called Tippy Red. I don't know if that's like an official name for it or just the grower's name. It's looking a little crispy on this leaf, although I do think this is the oldest leaf, so that may be okay, but I probably need to... No, it is damp. Yeah, I think it's okay. It is growing. It's not giving me a lot of that red variegation. This does tend to pop out some like really cool red splashes to the leaves, but this one's really not doing much. It is pretty cool. It's got like this ruffly edge. A lot of these are like the Thai hybrid caladiums, and those are absolutely gorgeous plants. They tend to have a thicker leaf texture than your standard caladiums that we see like here in the United States in our big box stores, and the leaf shape and everything tends to be a little bit different. So they're very, very interesting. I do not know the like variety names of any of these. These are all caladium though. So this one is, you can see it's got like green and white and lime green variegation, purple veins, really beautiful. This is one that I have talked about a lot. This one is kind of like this bright yellow with this. Let me get in some natural lighting. Some really contrasty veins. It's also got red, green, beautiful plant. It did have spider mites pretty badly, so I had to treat that. And it is coming back from that. This is, oh, I do have a name tag for this one. What are you? You are Caladium palachowsii? Palachowsii? I don't know. This one's really cool. It's got like an angular, almost alocasia-esque leaf shape. And it's got this really cute white spotty variegation. This is another Thai Caladium variant. This one has grown really, really quickly in comparison to my other ones. And I think it's really cute because it has this really beautiful red coloration, purple veins, but it has these like cute little white lobes. This is another one in the back. Not much to see on that one. That one is just growing back. That's a really, really dark one. It's like almost black. And then we have got this one over here that looks kind of like butterfly-y. Really beautiful veination. It does tend to get kind of pink. I don't think any of these leaves are showing that pink, but you can see the variance in like the veination and the growth. Just really pretty. So one thing about caladiums too, do know that they do not like to be disturbed or shipped or anything. So oftentimes when you get them, they may die all the way back to just the rhizome, but they do typically regrow from that rhizome. So just don't throw them out. Just continue to water them when the soil starts drying out, as you typically would, and they will typically regrow. This is my Sinengiana leuco. I always call this the wrong thing. I think I call it leuconera, and it's leucotrichta. Yeah, leucotrichta. Really pretty, very soft, velvety, kind of like minty leaves. It has really beautiful blooms, but mine has not bloomed for me this year. So we'll see. It may eventually bloom, but I'm not really like holding out a lot of hope for it. In the back here, we have got a rehab schismatoglottis. Not much to see there. It had absolutely horrific spider mites, probably the worst spider mites I have ever had. And I don't know how I didn't notice them. Luckily, knock on wood, it was isolated. So no other plants were impacted by the spider mites, but it literally like was such a horrible infestation. Like when you can see the webbing between the lobes and everything. So I was like, oh no, we just chopped her right back. This is a philodendron heterocraspidon. I think this is an Equigenera hybrid. I do not remember who the parent plants were. This one is very difficult. So it took me a really, really long time to get this one to root. I tried literally everything, water, sphagnum, pond, everything, and it was not happy until I put it in my anthurium mix, which is tree fern, orchid bark, perlite, and sphagnum moss. And for some reason, it really liked that and started growing. So whatever, not going to argue. This is my Hoya vitillinoides, very large leafed Hoya. This one has been really, really easy going. I did recently have to repot it just because it was growing out of its pot so much, like it was totally root bound in there. And it put out some tendrils, but all the leaves kept dying off. So I just cut the tendrils off and we'll just wait for those to regrow. But really solid, large leafed Hoya. This is, ooh, you need to be watered. What are you? Some type of Dresslery crossed with a blue pap. No idea where I got this. All right, guys, and last but not least, I am standing on a chair so that I can show you these plants on top of the Vittsjo shelf. First of all, we have got my Anthurium magnificum silver over here. We have got my Hoya, just my standard Hoya polynura, which I recently popped up here. I thought that it would maybe like the humidity because these little baby leaves keep falling off. But we'll see. We have got my begonia. I don't remember what this is. This is begonia. This is not the paulensis. This is the natuensis. So begonia natuensis. This one has been pretty easy for me. I did recently repot it into no drainage because it was just drying out super duper fast. But it's up here, very happy next to the humidifier. That is for sure. This is my Anthurium metallicum. This one has been pretty difficult for me. It has not been happy with anything that I have done. So I've recently moved it over here next to the humidifier just to see if that would make it any happier. I don't know. And then we have got my anthurium pallidiflorum. She is getting fairly large. She did have a pretty big new leaf that accidentally broke off. But I think she is preparing to put a new leaf out before too long. So hopefully that next one will be pretty big. And then we have got up top Anthurium Frederickstallii, which is another pendant anthurium. Its growth pattern is a little bit different in that the pallidiflorum likes to kind of like crawl and hang over. This one has petioles that come up and then the leaves hang down from the petioles. So it's a little bit easier for the new leaves to come out because it's not trying to crawl quite as much. Like the chonk will kind of crawl, but the petioles themselves like to grow up and then the leaves will hang down from that. And then we have got let me zoom in on this one. This is the other Syngonium that I was talking about. This is the Liano Cardi-Road or the Red Arrow Syngonium. And this one is a little unique in that it has very dark, black, almost leathery leaves with red backs. And that one is growing in no drainage. I have had actually a pretty easy time with Syngonium in no drainage. They seem to really like it. I've got this one in no drainage, and I have got the Albo in no drainage. And I will probably put that one in no drainage eventually when it comes time to repot it. This one right here, this is why can I not remember the name of this plant? This is a really common one. Like you can find this in big box stores. It's got those like crazy red backs. I'm totally blanking on the name of that. If I can remember, I'll put the name in on the screen. And then up top, we have got my philodendron tortum that I'm regrowing from cuttings. This is my anthurium Queen of Hearts. She just gave me this really beautiful new leaf that's hardening off. We have got, what is this? This is the monstera addisonii, the something mint. It's like a mint version of the addisonii. It has this really pretty blue toned variegation. I was originally growing that up a pole, but it was just growing too fast for me to keep up with having it on a pole. So we are going to try it trailing, rooted, very, 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 very easy from cuttings. And it's been growing pretty vigorously. So really good experience with that one. This is my Monstera letriana albo. And we have got some points that are growing with pretty good albo variegation. And then we have some that have reverted, but it looks really good growing there. And it's just in no drainage as well. Here we have got a staghorn fern. This is the White Hawk. And I have this potted in a kind of unique way. So I cut let me put this down so I can show you. So I cut like a U shape out of this plastic cup and I just slotted it down in there with a bunch of sphagnum moss because I couldn't keep it damp enough when I had it mounted. And it seems to be really enjoying that. Like these shield fronds are growing out of control and it's sizing up a lot. So I'm very pleased that that one has had a positive experience and is growing really well. And then over here we have got my Epiprimnum pinnatum albo. This is another one that you can find pretty commonly in big box stores now. However, this one has really, really great variegation. I bought this specifically because of the variegation in this specific specimen. And then when I got it, it totally died. So I had to chop it up and take propagations. And this is the result of having all of those propagations potted up and regrowing. But she is doing really well now and she is starting to fenestrate just a little bit. And then we have got my Stephania Nova. And this is a caudex type plant. Like you can see the little caudex down in there. And she is so cute, like the little round leaves and the venation. I absolutely love her. And then in the very back, this is Anthurium nigrolaminum giganteum. And this one is really pretty. It has kind of like a silver tone to it. And it's sized up a massive amount from that last leaf. So I'm interested in seeing kind of like how big that gets because that might actually get fairly large. Okay, hi, hello. It is later in the same day as the last portion of the video that you would have watched. So new plan. So we are going to split this up into two parts because it is very possible that this could be more than 3 hours in total once we get through the rest of the house and the anthurium tent. So I don't feel like it's probably the best decision to upload a 3-hour long YouTube video for many reasons. So we are going to be breaking this into 2 parts. I am aiming to upload this part, which is going to be part 1, tomorrow, which is going to be Sunday. And then the part after that, as I will hopefully be able to finish this video tomorrow, will be up on Monday. So part 1 will come out on Sunday, which will hopefully be today when you're watching it. And then part 2 will be on Monday, which will be the next day, to finish up the remainder of my collection. So if you made it through this first part and we're expecting more plants after this, I do apologize for the inconvenience, but part 2 will be up tomorrow, hopefully, if I can keep track of everything. But I do appreciate you for watching this entire video. And if you like this video and want to see more content like this from me, please like, please subscribe. It means so much to me and it helps the channel so much. And part 2 will be out hopefully tomorrow. So I will see you then. Bye.